welcome to Lapeef Sports. Let me introduce the crew. We got Sway, we got Cal, Jay, Hank, Shayna, Amber, Chris, me, myself, and Lapeef JR. Welcome to Lapeef Sports on the Lapeef Network. How y'all doing, family?
Doing good.
Good. Happy Sunday.
Good morning, good people.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Get the crust out your eyes.
Man, it's a great show, man. Ahead, you guys seen the thumbnail. Before we get started, to get the house in order, shout out to the sponsor, Teej Hanley. Teej Hanley, that link is posted in the description. You get 30% off along with a free gift. Also, just in case you don't know, we are live in Houston, April 23rd. April 23rd, we are live in Houston. It's our first live show. Go ahead and click that link that's pinned at the top of the chat. It's also a discount on the hotel as well in there. Come join us. Come have fun. We're kicking it all weekend. But the special day, the actual live show is on a Saturday. So make sure you guys get your tickets, man, and come be a part of history. All right, Cal.
Yes. Again, welcome. We got some familiar faces and we got some new faces here. So I want to give them some extra shine. Shayna and Amber, I want to re-welcome you again. Yeah.
Forgot about Chris.
Hey, Chris, of course. Chris, my man, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
All
man.
three
Hey,
guys. Thank you, guys.
Hey, appreciate you having me, man. For real.
So we had a lot going on in the news, but we're going to start off with Brittany Griner. As we all know, there is a conflict going on between Russia and the Ukraine. And seven-time WNBA All-Star Brittany Griner, she's been detained by the Russian Federal Customs Service with claims that they found some cartridges, some hashish oil in her luggage in the form of vape cartridges. She's in Russia because she plays on a women's basketball team for the Russian Premier League. And it looks like she's been there now. She's been in custody for about a month. Russia has pretty strict laws in regards to their marijuana and their drug program. I mean, they have an entire, system around it, something that we would relate to like RICO laws. They are charging her with some pretty serious crimes, and she could face up to 10 years in jail. A congresswoman has already come out demanding that she be released. Texas Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, she pretty much has demanded that Brittany Griner be released immediately. They haven't really released any new information, but she is still in custody. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that. She's one of the more known women athletes in the world, let alone America. The fact that she has to travel to Russia to play during the WNBA season is probably another interesting conversation. She only makes around $275,000 with the WNBA. So what do you guys' thoughts on that? Is she in danger? Is this just another negotiating chip? How do you feel?
Look, what I've seen a lot of people asking was why was she over there? But I think she plays in the off season, right? Like she plays over there.
So a lot of the WNBA players, to subsidize their income, they'll go overseas to other countries and play for that team in the off season because they can't afford to sustain on the salary that they're getting. So that's one of the people. Liz Cambridge is another one. It's a lot of them that do it. It's probably like 60% of them that play in the off season. Tarasi. So this situation is
You can't live off of $200,000 a year.
I guess in that aspect, like it depends. You traveling, a lot of that stuff not even paid for. I'm not sure what the criteria is for WNBA paying for people to travel and paying people lifestyles and stuff. But $200,000 a year when you're playing ball, I don't think it's to us it's probably like, yeah, we live off $2,000 a year. We're not we're not traveling, we're not doing everything they're doing. But I think she got caught on the wrong side of history, man. Like right now, it's like so much going on in Russia. Like for her to be detained, I mean, that's like that the Ukraine news kind of overshadows that. So I think it's just a horrible situation for her. I mean, getting caught for people got released for less. With her situation. So yeah, I think she just got caught on the wrong side of history. And from what I heard, it was like oil inside of a vape pen that goes inside of a vape pen. So I don't think it was even that the drug conspiracy, whatever charge they're trying to throw at her, like it wasn't even that. You know what I mean? So it's an unfortunate situation for her. But as a man, as a man Jay said, a lot of people go over there and get more income and try to make sure they stay, afloat with what's going on with the WNBA salary. You already know, like she on a higher tier of salaries, like she 275,000. That's pretty good.
Yeah, To give us some context, that 276,000 is the league maximum, and in Russia, she's making 1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that just goes to show you the.
Hey, I'm not knocking her getting her bag. I just know it's a little bit of cap when they talk about their financial situation, because the WNBA does get paid out by the NBA. They planes, bus rides, food. They don't got to pay for none of that. But hey, if you want to go get that 1.5 mil over in Russia, good. I told you, a lot of NBA players or women players, WNBA players go overseas to like China, Russia, Japan, because they will pay you more just for the fact that you bring in crowds. That you have, like, she's probably the LeBron of Russia for women. There probably a lot of people still come over there to see her. That's why she gets so much money. They do it in soccer too. You'll get way more money if you play in the Chinese league instead of like the BPL or the Premier League or even the Bundesliga. Like, you'll get way more money over there.
Well, not even lower level NBA players go over overseas. Jimmy Fredette plays for China. He go over there making like 1.5, 2 million. And he's staying here making 500,000 playing on the bench, not getting no tick, probably getting traded around to multiple teams. So not just WNBA, a lot of NBA players do it too.
My issue is, man, why don't she know the rules and the regulations of the country she's going to?
Yeah,
that's my issue.
I mean,
man, you need to.
That's what I was going to say.
The key.
Cut you off.
Man, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What you want to say?
No, I agree with you. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless who she works for, when you go to another country, you got to be very cognitive of the rules and their customs and how they live by. She broke a rule. But however, I do believe that if she was detained under different circumstances, she may have been released early. Now she's collateral. Now she's a pawn. I mean, if you look at what's going on currently, they're pressuring the U.S. to cut off oil supply to Russia. So they have something of ours. It just wasn't a good move at the end of the day. She put herself in this position. She didn't move accordingly in another country.
And just
let alone
context, just add a little bit more context. There is another American, Trevor Reed, who's also detained in Russia. Very different circumstances, very different charges, but it just kind of lends to a pattern where Russia does not have a problem with an American maybe breaking some laws or being accused of breaking a law, and they will detain you regardless of what our American feelings are. So it's not necessarily a Brittany Griner thing, but still, she definitely should have known where she was at and know the rules. I mean, she was in an airport and she had it in her bag. And yeah, she's not it's not LeBron. So, exactly. And it's Russia. So she had maybe an opportunity to get out of there, months ago when everybody else could have evacuated. And for whatever reason, she wasn't able to do that. Not to knock her to say that she was dumb or whatever. We don't necessarily know the details of why she stayed, but she stayed. And, she kind of maybe should have tightened it up a little bit given the current circumstances. And I don't know. And they're not really releasing any new details. So outside of us knowing that she's currently there, we really don't know the situation. We don't know if she's just sitting in a jail cell somewhere or if she's able to stay in some other kind of, facility. So it's just really up in the air on that front.
Well, Kyle, we're not gonna call her dumb, but that's just not smart. That's just not smart at all. I don't care if I'm going out of state. I'm gonna have an idea about where I'm going and what I can and what I can't do. That's one of my things. I mean, when I go out of state, I need to know the concealed carry laws, because if I'm going to fly out of state, I'm gonna register my gun with the airport and do what I gotta do. If I'm driving, I say all of those rules apply to me. I need to know, so I don't go in there blind. I'm not going to do that. And so now you especially going out of the country doing this, that makes no sense to me. It's none at all. And now this Ukraine thing has been going on for over a couple months, really. But now it's just really blown up, and you're doing this.
It's really been a few years if you know your politics. It's been a few years.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been brewing. It's been brewing for a few years.
Yeah, that's just not smart at all.
May I ask a question? May I ask? I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Are they trying to enter into negotiations for a trade with her, or is she just locked away and no one?
Her team has said that there's been back channel talks to get her out of there, but Russia hasn't necessarily been as receptive as you would think. Plus, given the circumstances of their current conflict out there, it's really a negotiating chip for Russia, you would imagine. So I don't really think that it's been reported that there's been good faith effort to get her out, or they're working towards some kind of solution. Not to say that they aren't, they just haven't reported that. And it seems like they have already opened a criminal investigation into it. So on the Russian side, it seems like they're taking it relatively seriously. And we on the American side are trying to get her out without getting involved in everything else. And I imagine it's just a delicate situation.
I don't feel like they're
It's gonna
taking
cost you
it.
everything. It's gonna cost you everything from you get her out. I'm not giving up nothing if I was them.
Oh yeah,
I'm not giving up nothing. Y'all kiss
They
my
already
ass. Y'all, she here. She broke our rules. These are our laws. You broke them. You gonna be here for a minute.
Broke a rule, if she legit broke a rule, my thing is you have to know what the rules are. And it's even if it's like to us, okay, we in America, you're like, oh, it's a little bit of weed, oh, it's a little bit of CBD, or it ain't gonna hurt nobody. No, what you in Russia, probably one of the more concrete, strict places in the world. You have to know. That means empty your bag, throw it away, do what you got to do. I think she was given a carefree place. And she was making that, like you said, 1.5 million or whatever it is, and she feel like she can move how she want to move. She got caught on the wrong side of history. They said, you know what, we got one of yours now. Now, whether it's a prominent person of ours, they don't really care. Like they're gonna use that as a bargaining chip because all these other countries are already working to cut off supplies and cut off finances and work with other countries to oppose Russia to make sure they stop and not lead us to a World War III or whatever, just thinking long term or whatever. So I don't know, man. I don't feel if it's true. Again, this is us just commenting on what the news article says and what the headline is. If it's actually true and she made that's a bad decision on her part, and you can't really feel sorry for her not knowing the rules.
Chris, just a little pushback.
I mean, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. However, I'm also thinking of the human element. I mean, sometimes when you make a certain level of income, you kind of think you are above the law. So I don't know if she knew the laws of Russia. Right. I think she should have acclimated herself. However, I'm still thinking a single Black woman scared in Russia by herself. So I do feel for her. I wouldn't want to be stuck in another country by myself.
That's the
wondering
aftermath
if I'm going to get out and be able to see my family.
I think that's the
so she wasn't with. I assume she wasn't with her wife or nothing like that. It was just her, maybe some teammates, or I don't know what was the details on the.
Yeah, I'm not sure the details as far as who she was with.
I didn't know the answer to that. I was just going to give a little pushback on the conversation about her not knowing and the whole situation. But I feel like she did know. I feel like Russia knew. I feel like she's been there before. It's a vape cart. Nicotine is addiction. I'm sure she's done it before. I'm sure she's brought it over there and they had no problem with it. They were fine. She gets paid 1.5 mil. I'm pretty sure they know who she is. And the fact that they got her, the fact that they got her now definitely shows you that, where they are in the times, and it is a bargaining chip. They do know it does matter. She's very important to they didn't just pick her out of a hat. No, they knew who it was. They probably knew she did it. And as soon as she got to the airport, they knew what time it was. So
yeah, I agree with that. I just think she again, it goes back to my original point. I think she got caught on the wrong side of history, and what what we were talking about before. It has to be you know what's going on in the times. This has been going on for a year and a half, 2 years in the process, and now it came full throttle, and now you have to know what the times are. So you have to cover yourself. Like, hey, and if you don't want to leave, then make sure all your T's are crossed and your dots and everything is dotted because they're gonna use whatever they can. And I think she kind of got caught in a mix of that. With that whole situation. So it's unfortunate, but I just hope she come out on top.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's just being laxed. This is something that she did normally to subsidize income. She has a circle of people it was just being laxed. It kind of reminds me of, Jules Santana. He did like 2.5 years in prison because he had a gun in a bag in New York. Like, New York is the last place you want to be stopped with a gun. And when they checked it and saw a gun, my man just got the book in there. Like nah, dog, come back here.
Yeah. Man,
so where does this leave
So
where is this going to leave the WNBA and the NBA? They're in a real tough position. Plus the women's league in Russia. She got to be one of their better players. So where does this leave them? How long is it going to take before Adam Silver has to make a statement, and the Diana Taurasi's and Lisa Leslie's and all the legends got to come out and start demanding her release. Do you think it's going to get to that? If that happens, is that going to escalate the entire situation further? Or, what do you guys think?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think nothing's going to be said. I don't think nothing's going to be said. I don't know if you've seen that thing with Bill Walton. He was on ESPN starting to talk about the Russia thing, and they muted his microphone. They're not going to say anything. Just like they didn't say nothing about China, they're not going to say nothing about this. They're going to stay out of this and throw their hands up.
So you have a teeter right now, right? You have Ukrainian innocent women and children getting killed in a situation of war, and you have a sports athlete detained for weed. Like, this is going to win every time. So that's what I mean. She got caught on her own side of here, so you can't really come out because the same breath, a Ukrainian person or someone of like Lomachenko, Vasyl Lomachenko is one of my favorite boxers, and he literally came to protect himself when this first started happening. He went back over there, flew back over there, and got on the front line with his people. So they, it's not like an American situation like in Ukraine. Like, you can get excommunicated if you don't go over there and fight for your country. So in that situation where I think all that exceeds that situation, and again goes back to it, she got caught on the wrong side, and I think until they figure out, they're going to figure out whatever she has going on, she probably get released in maybe a year. Maybe they lower some of the charges, but to me, in my opinion, she's going to do a little time. That's a scary situation, but she just will, because I don't think she holds that much power as any sort of bargaining chip. People are go on social media, go on Twitter, hey, can you this is unfair. This is it's not gonna beat the news that's happening now.
Just to clarify, I don't think it was weed. I think it might have been nicotine carts, and she should have just chucked them. Honestly, she should just threw them away before she even got to the airport and just went home. But go ahead, Hank. Sorry to cut you off.
No, my question is, do they separate the ladies from the men? I mean, it's not as liberal over here. I know, but is that one of those things? Do they all have to stay in the same facility in the cells together? Because that's gonna be a lot more scary too.
Kyle said, like, I wish I knew, like, I wish I knew the situation. Like, she's being detained in like a county, or is she in like a federal? I'm looking at the comparisons as far as U.S. prison, like where she's being retained. She's just sitting in the room, or is she like in a Russian prison where it's like, you see stories about Russian prisons, So that's that whole situation is just I just hope that whatever it is, like she doesn't come out with any sort of mental issues, ASAP Rocky kind of situation, because he was in prison. And those are
we might have to
is a real thing.
We might have to send Liam Neeson over to get her out, man.
Have to.
So now, do you think this is gonna impact just the international sports scene? I mean, the Olympics were already impacted by various activists and issues where athletes were dropping out, and now with this, are female athletes gonna stop going international and maybe try to start to maybe make more pushback here in America to get that money, or is this just
not international? But I think Russian maybe, but they might isolate it to a certain country. I don't think those women are gonna stop getting their money. I just don't. I don't think. I think they're gonna use it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. Go ahead, Chris.
No, you got it. I was
No, I don't think they will, because she made a mistake, man. She made a mistake, made a bad investment by doing what she did, and now she's going to suffer some consequences. Unfortunately, her consequences are going to be awfully harsh than probably any other time in the history of Russia. But I guess they all about that Nancy Reagan, man. They just say no. You ain't have no drugs in our country. You're not going to westernize this, and next thing you're going to be popping pills over it. Man, they're not going for that. So,
well, I had to agree with Sway, man. She did this probably 100 times before, and they just, they used to, like, what? No, we don't get you this time. Like, we got too much going on in this country right now, so you're gonna be one of our. We're gonna use you as an example.
Yeah, she couldn't even name drop and get herself out of the situation.
No, not in this situation.
I think the athletes are gonna. I think they're gonna advocate for her. They're gonna try. You know what I mean? I see that happening because it can happen. I mean, I'm not saying that somebody, the average athlete would get caught out there like that, but she's gonna spend some time there. You know what I mean? This ain't gonna be no quick fix. She's gonna be over there for a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, they're gonna advocate for her to get her back.
Man, so it's gonna be free Brittany hashtags. soon enough, or is
I
it,
think it's
she
gonna be
gonna be in
those.
there that long, or is this gonna be, because I feel like they need
Those
to
already.
back channel, get her up on out of there. You know what I mean? Not make it into an issue, because when it comes to the conflict, I do feel like even though America has sent troops for various reasons, I feel like America is trying to stay out of the, as much as possible, or at least give the optics that they are. And so to keep Brittany Griner there, in detention, somewhat indefinitely, and not necessarily giving out, being transparent about what's happening to her, where she is, what's her status with the team, what's her status with the WNBA. I mean, she's not just Joe Blow. Brittany Griner is one of the more recognizable players in the whole league. And the Phoenix team WNBA, I want to say they're one of the best teams in the WNBA. So if she were to be here, like you say, Jay, if she's going to be in there for longer than a few months, I imagine that turns into a scandal. And how long can the WNBA and NBA just pretend it's not happening because of the political issue? They can't just not talk about it. So I feel like, eventually it's going to turn into a real issue.
Yeah, right now, I don't think they're in a position to do any bargaining, but I think once it's settled, so right now, I give her at least 5 to 6 months over there just because of the tension that's going on right now. But I do believe that they will get her out of there.
I don't think it's an overnight thing. I think they're gonna let it linger for a little bit, regardless of like how small the charges are. They're gonna let it float for a little bit.
Yeah, they're not gonna be open to the conversation right now. So she's gonna suffer for the mistake.
Well, we can kind of leave that there. That's still a pending issue and whatnot. So, I'm sure that situation will develop. Hopefully it's speedy, and, we'll just hear quietly that she's been put on a plane back to America, and things will be fine. So, keep her in our prayers, keep her family in our prayers as well. I can imagine her family and parents and whatnot are going through it. Her teammates back in America are going through it. So, we definitely want to keep her in our thoughts for sure. And from there, we can kind of segue to Russell Wilson, currently quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks. He was on Ellen. He and his wife Ciara were on Ellen recently, and Russell Wilson actually took some time to get down on one knee again, and in front of America, re-proposed to Ciara and asked if they can have more babies. And so, this was kind of a big deal. Ciara has found herself in the public eye for various reasons for almost a year now, for one reason or another, whether she's promoting a brand or whether she's dancing or if she's just, advertising herself as the wife of Russell Wilson. It seems like they are really trying to capitalize on their couples goals status right now. So what do you guys think? Is this going to be good for Russell Wilson? Is this a good look for him? Is this on brand? Is it too much at this point? What do y'all think?
It's absolutely on brand.
Go ahead, ladies.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's absolutely on brand. It's a show. It's a show. It's a narrative. It's PR that they have maximized since day one, and it's been working for them. If you notice, if you look at the patterns, every 2 or 3 months, Ciara or Russell do something to get back into the limelight. So it's completely on. It's par for the course. It's on brand. People are eating it up. They're doing their job.
This is a strange world we live in. Just because like on social media, you don't know what's like everything is sort of couple goals, right? You either have the extreme couple goals of them twerking on the boat, throwing money at each other, or you have the simplistic couple goals of having all these kids and publicly going and saying, hey, I want to have more babies with you. I mean, you don't even know what's real. I guess for me, Russell Wilson is kind of labeled a cornball because he does he had the whole situation where he said, well, I can't live without my wife. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've been married 13 years and I don't think I can live without my wife, but I'm not an athlete and I'm not a professional and I'm not a professional, I'm not an actor. I don't hold any sort of substance in the world. So if I say it, it's like, okay, you can say it. But if Russell Wilson says it, he's like kind of a cornball. So I don't understand like the cornball, role for him. I think when he gets that he gets labeled that's often confusing for me. But I think that him and Ciara created like this PR thing. Like it's weird. You would think they're this authentic couple, but now are maximizing their brand whenever they get a chance to. So it's like that's the confusing part for me. Really, I really love Russell Wilson this year. I love their relationship, and have a dope family. They got a beautiful family, but you don't know how much of that is like, all right, we got to continue our brand. I'm only playing for another 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? So I gotta maximize this. So I don't know. It's confusing for me, but I mean, I don't have an issue with it. It's just classic Russell Wilson and Ciara at this point for me.
Well, think about it. It's definitely PR. So think about Russell Wilson and Ciara. Both of them have like maybe 10 people behind them. They have a publicist, a brand strategist, marketing, and they're in each other's ears about this is how we're going to maximize, get sponsorships, get commercials. And that's exactly what they're doing. And they have people in their ears every 5 seconds about what they post on social media. Don't say this, wear this, go to this event, go to the Ellen DeGeneres show and propose to her. This is literally their job. It is what it is.
So do you think that go ahead, Hank. Go ahead, Hank.
No, something. You just hope that this relationship is successful. If it's not,
exactly,
he's gonna look like the biggest jerk in the world.
Oh man, the biggest.
That's the only thing about this. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah.
And I love it. I'm all for black love. You know what I'm saying? But man, if his shit doesn't work,
man,
it's gonna go down in flames for him. And I feel bad for the dude.
Can I chime in?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I don't think it's corny at all. But then again, I'm like a hopeless romantic with these type of things. And I think if it's genuine, there's no problem with it. You can tell chemistry. Like you can tell they actually do care about each other and they love each other. Do I think that it's publicized for reasons? Do they have PR? Absolutely. But what's wrong with seeing like a successful black love? Like that's beautiful to me. I think we see so many negative relationships. We see so many bad things happening. Yeah. So I mean, it's adorable to me, and I don't think he's corny.
I agree. I'm a hopeless romantic. I am all for black love, but I guess because I work in media and I work with marketers, I work with PR. I'm a photographer. We sit in rooms and create a story. And this is the story that's going to sell. What is selling right now? Black love, as it should, but it's still a business. And so when they realize we have something going, that Ciara is going to be the exception, right? She's the exception. She's a single mother coming from Future. Now she said the prayer, and she found Russell Wilson, right? So now she's telling all of us, including me, a single mom, that I am not the rule. I'm going to be the exception like Ciara. I was one of the first women who was like, where's the prayer, sis? What's the prayer? Give me the damn prayer. And we all bought into it.
It's funny, talking about the media aspect, I think Russell Wilson and Ciara are their demographic is the hopeless romantic. It's the single black woman that wants that man that do this for them instead of giving them the social media, the social media presence. I use a comparison like Cardi B and Offset, right? So Cardi B and Offset, they got that hood love. I think like they want to beat each other, and then he wanted to get divorced, and they got that hood love where you like, I love this dude, but I will kill him. And Ciara and Russell Wilson are kind of like the textbook love is like, everything a black woman envisions that she wants, and she, that everything you would dream about in a relationship, that's what they have, and that's what they portray in the media. So people may not like it, people may think it's corny. I mean, but at the same time, that's their demographic. That's their entire demographic. They aim, aim for that. And you're right.
It's working. And I'm not knocking it. It's working.
To my main point, if they fail and they come out Russell Wilson got an illegitimate baby somewhere, man, it's gonna hit the fan like it is. And I don't want that to happen, but it just is what it is. We live in this type of world where everything is so social media driven. Everything is like, these relationships. You see, you're in a relationship, you're in a nice relationship, everything is cool. But then somebody outside doing some wild stuff for that girl, and you envision, my woman not doing enough for me. Look what she got. That's the world we live in. You know what I mean? So
I don't disagree with you, but I feel like there has to be some sort of example for people to go by. If you see everyone getting divorced and fighting and cursing each other out,
there's plenty of examples. Unfortunately, I think it's not in our demographic. So if you think about it, Denzel Washington is like Paulette, Samuel Jackson and his wife, Ivy B. Ruby Davis. Actually, the director of Black Panther, what's his name, Ryan Coogler and his wife. They're just being. There's nothing on really social media besides maybe showing some family photos, but they're just existing in that black love. There is no media. There is no relationship though. Right. But we don't hear about that because it's not sensational. If in media, what they say, if it don't bleed, it don't lead.
I'm like, but if that shit ain't real, I don't even want to see it. I don't even give a damn about it. If it ain't real, I mean, I want the real. Don't show me a bunch of fake stuff.
Yeah, but
it's too much fake stuff out here now. Why we need to
social media is 95% fake. Like you see a picture, you see a picture of somebody on a couple goes and all this, they doing all this, but they don't show them arguing, they don't show them fighting, they don't show them about to kill each other. They don't show that part. You never gonna show that part.
Man, that's what I'm saying. If this shit ain't real, I don't even want to see it because what they put on the hell of a show. You just like
so y'all think it was scripted?
Soap opera. Man, come on, man. It's a lifelong soap opera. That's what it seemed like to me so far.
So we will see. I think 80% they love each other, but 20%, like she said, it's media. It's like
you think she didn't have no idea what he was gonna do?
Come on, man. The script was on the monitor. She was just reading out the
script. She seemed genuinely surprised though.
Ciara got surprised like every time anything happens. Ciara just
got to put on that act. She got to put on that. I give her credit. She looked nice in that green dress. I ain't gonna lie.
So now let me ask y'all this. So is Russell Wilson more than a football player in terms of his media presence? And if he is, what is that? What is his impact on the culture if half the culture thinks he's low-key simping, the other half, admires him? What does that do for him as a football player? And is this all an attempt for him to set himself up to be some other kind of person? Or y'all just think this is just all authentic and he just wants to show the world?
Outside of football, Russell Wilson is outside of Ciara. Russell Wilson is just a football player. Without Ciara, you wouldn't hear anything like this from Russell Wilson. He was married before. He was married to he's married to like some girl in high school, right outside of high school. Then he went to, he went from the junior college to Wisconsin, and then he was married. Nobody even know who this girl is. He ain't do all this with, he ain't do all this stuff.
If it wasn't a PR stunt, he would have just had his kids like everybody else. He don't need to go on Ellen 100%. And announce it and propose and do all this extraness. Like, you just have your kids, G, and have that conversation with your wife behind doors. And if she don't want to have kids, then you can maybe, I don't know, placate to the media or something. But I don't know. But
a lot of people don't even understand that behind this Black love narrative is typically white people who don't understand. Mm. That's why, not to get off on a tangent, but it's really important for Black content creators, Black writers, Black narratives to tell true, authentic stories. Because behind Russell and Ciara and all these celebrities are typically white people. That's where diversity and inclusion comes in, who typically needs to hire a certain person to represent that.
So
before the rabbit hole goes deeper.
Before Ciara and during Ciara, Russell Wilson visited the Seattle Children's Hospital every Tuesday, right? And he started putting it on social media. He never made a huge deal out of it. He would just post him going to the hospital. He got married to Ciara, and it became a giant thing. He was doing this for years because he was in Seattle. Every Tuesday, he would go to Seattle Children's Hospital. He would meet with a child, or he would sponsor a child and do all that stuff. And he got with Ciara, and Ciara and her PR team blew it up as this huge, giant thing. So you can look it up. He now they have this big foundation where they open all this money or whatever. But he was doing that way before then. So
okay, so if he was already doing that, and then he got with Ciara and it became a big thing, that sounds like that helped Ciara. That because she hitched her wagon.
Them as a couple, they married. So
oh yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you know what I'm saying, like, who's winning really in this whole
Ciara? She finessed this man with the Gok 3000. She literally finessed this man with the Gok 3000. His old church boy, he got finessed, and he's just there for the ride at this point. He married her, so
Ciara went from Future's baby mama to the modern day Claire Huxtable.
Future got 13 kids by 9 different women.
Huxtable.
I think the brand is winning. I think the brand is winning. I think he's more than a football player now because she realizes to make him more than a football player now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? She's worried about
he dressing up, wearing Gucci, wearing Fendi.
She's worried about the overall brand. You know what I mean? He was a regular, Care Bear, sweet guy behind closed doors. He plays this gladiator sport. She's like, you know what? We need to get this part of you to the public. You know what I mean? She's in music. Music is built on like branding. Like nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Before it was just about your talent. Now it's about your personality, what you do off the field or what you do outside of your specified profession. So she knew how to capitalize on that because she knew that it would benefit the brand, and she's a part of the brand.
And let's be honest, in this
May I
music
say
industry, you don't
something?
have to have no talent. You don't have to have no talent. It's just your brand.
May I say something?
Go ahead, son.
Isn't your brand what's important in sports anyway? Like you can play your sport, and then they usually choose the people who are well spoken, who are handsome or attractive to like be on the Wheaties box. Like that's the whole goal, isn't it?
Yeah, but
To
you don't need
maximize
the
your sport.
you don't need a wife or chick to boost your brand up per se. Ocho Cinco, LeBron, Tom Brady,
Yeah.
you used to do it in other ways
I
by
don't.
having like a
Bro, you
trademark
do
like
realize
TB12.
I don't.
Maybe
I
not
don't
Tom
think you
Brady.
need a wife, but I think
No,
that
Tom
makes her
Brady's
a
wife
good
had more
wife.
money than him coming in. So
Yeah,
But
I feel like Tom Brady
we're
upgraded
talking about
with
their brands. We don't think of TB12 and think of his supermodel wife.
but
yes,
not
we
every
do.
athlete.
Yeah, but
Honestly,
A lot of
We
people
not
do.
every
I
athlete has a
don't.
brand. Not every athlete has a like. Not every athlete is good enough to have a brand. Like
Yeah, but that's what we're talking about, though. We're talking about
but
developing their brand outside of football. You know, for
I
the
think Russell
after.
Wilson was on this. Russell Wilson was on his way from her. He was like the modern day OJ. I mean,
Almost
he
every
was well
single,
spoken.
Not
Russell,
until he got through
He
that
was
situation with his
pushed out
teammates.
there.
almost
But
every
honestly,
You said
single
what?
athlete that's as big, the biggest athletes, almost every single one of them are married. That's a part of their brand is marriage.
Exactly.
No, you can be
Yeah.
married, but I'm saying the person they marry to doesn't necessarily like impact their brand other than the fact that they married a woman. Like she's actually bringing in PR and pushing
You
this
don't
like this
think that
guy
Tom
into the
Brady's
media.
wife takes him to another level?
I'm not saying
Absolutely.
his wife doesn't take him to
astronomical
another
level.
level with the fact that you get
His
married.
wife does
But the
because she was a
situation is
supermodel. Yeah,
Ciara
for
seems like
sure.
she's the one controlling the whole PR and branding and trying to push
But
this
I think
like image
I
out
think
there.
that makes
This
her.
perfect man.
Doesn't
Yeah.
that make her a better woman? Doesn't that make her a better wife though?
Not
Like,
if that's
oh honey, look
if
who's
he doesn't
doing
want
this.
that, but if that's what he wants, sure. I mean, it
I
all depends on the
think he
man, I guess.
ultimately has. I think he has grown.
I
Like you
think
said, it's like Sierra put the Wu thing on him, and it was over with. Like it was over with. So whatever she says at this point, he's going to pretty much do. Like it's the same. It's the same thing as like I mean, think about Steph Curry. Like nobody knew who Aisha Curry was, but she's like the new age Martha Stewart now. So it's like she has her own brand. Like I mean, to me, that's a perfect example of someone
But she
developing a
doesn't
brand.
make him better though.
No,
Sometimes she
exactly.
brings
She
him
doesn't make him
down.
better. I think so. But I'm talking about in that situation, like when he's saying to his point, like every athlete has a wife. I think Russell Wilson, outside of Ciara, he would have been on CBS. He'd been on Monday Night Football. I'm talking about post retirement, and he'd been a great commentator. Dude can speak. He's a well spoken dude. Would he be this modern man going to all these galas and stuff? No, not without Ciara. No. He'd
Well, I
just be
mean,
a better athlete
even
retired.
I think that the thing that is good for the superstar athlete is the family. It's not necessarily them being married. It's the image of their family together. So the best pictures of Russell Wilson and Ciara is them with all of their children. The best picture of LeBron and Savannah is them with their whole family. You know, because when we see Carmelo Anthony and Lala, we don't necessarily consider that to be some great successful power couple, even when they were together, because we really didn't see them as a nuclear family. We saw them as just a couple, you know. And then Tom Brady and Giselle are probably a bad example, but we know that they are very highly family oriented. They had a reality show at one point, so they are, you know. So, and Tom Brady makes no you know, qualms about the fact that part of the reason he retired is because of, you know, that's what his family needs. So I think it's the family image more so than your spouse. To Sway's
But that's
point,
the brand, though. I'm sorry, but that's the
Go ahead,
brand. And
go
Shana,
ahead.
you're correct. Shana, you're correct. If you look at politicians or those who are thinking about running or about to run, they typically, if they were like a bachelor, they typically get engaged or get married during their running, and it shows that they know they made a good decision. They know how to settle down. They're for the family. They're about family. They're about, you know, chivalry, all that good shit. So it is on brand. It is on course. And it's not just, I've seen, you know, when it comes to celebrities and, you know, athletes and stuff like that. It's if you go to galas, you know, I've seen men who, with the prettiest woman on their arm, it gives them a certain prestige and look or certain accolades. It's image. It's imagery. It's
I think
the narrative.
I would say that there's a level to it though, right? Because the woman that person is with, she's really just arm candy. You know what I mean? She may not necessarily be part of the brand. She's just something to accentuate the brand. You know what I mean? It's still that person in the lead versus when there's a child involved. Now it's all the members of it is the brand. So we didn't know about Pat Mahomes' girl until she got pregnant. You know, we didn't, you know, Joe Burrow has a girlfriend who he's been with 5 years. Bet you can't ask a bunch of people what her name is, you know, but let her get pregnant. Everybody would know what's going on with that. And it'd be a completely different dynamic around Joe Burrow. So I just think that, you know, it's really the entire nuclear family that benefits them. And when it comes to the power couple, I think that that's a little overstated because when that couple breaks up, it actually hurts them more so than, you know, them being together in the first place.
Well, one of the biggest narratives with Ciara and Russell Wilson, and going back to that point is like, look at what Ciara came from, right? She came from this celebrity, this musician, Future, and she got with Russell Wilson, which is like, you know, it's two different sides. So I think she used that to her benefit because everybody knows Future just having kids all over the place, and now she with this settled down, the golden man, the perfect man. And she used that to her advantage. I think that was a big part of it too. Like without Future in the mix, if Ciara like never had any kids, they'd probably just be a regular couple. This regular couple, you know, she do music, he do football, but he played a big role in it just because of, you know, what she went through with him. And another huge part is his son always a Russell Wilson. He calls him Papa. Like, and then, you know, so black women, they see that, they're like, oh, this how men should step up. This how stepdaddy should be. You know, that's a huge part of it. And that's one of the first things you saw in the news. Is like, oh, you saw all these pictures of Future's son with Russell Wilson. He taking him to football practice. He going to his practice. He giving him hugs, kisses, put him to bed. You know, that's what you see. And the black community, that was huge. I was already like, that skyrocketed. It was like, I want to see that with my stepdad. I want to see that the man I'm with now. That's how it went.
So honestly, Anton, I want to ask you actually, Anton, because you might be in a position that's different than the rest of us, because on your platform, you've shown love to your wife and whatnot publicly. So do you think that helps you? Or is that just, you know, it's a coincidence that you guys are on camera and you're just kind of having a moment between each other? You know, what's the, what motivates you to allow people to see your relationship like that? Because you may not necessarily need that. You know what I mean? You're successful on your own. People are still going to listen to your advice one way or the other. And so you may not necessarily need to involve your wife into your public life for people to still respect you as who you are. So I'm curious on what your thoughts are.
Well, it gives me more credibility, right? Because now I'm showing you this is what a successful marriage looks like, right? I'm showing you that, okay, when I say that, you know, men tend to be more successful when they're married. I'm giving you an example of it. I would say that Rita exponentially increases my brand, my worth, 100,000%. And I think that my ceiling is much higher than men that just want to work and just want to grind. 1,000%. I mean, even off camera, and I've talked about this, about the rooms that she get me in that I wouldn't have been able to get in by myself. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that it is, for me, is very intentional, right? I'm going to use every tool and resource in my arsenal in order to be able to get out the message that I want to get out, right? And obviously, the goal is to get out the message. The goal is to show people what successful marriage looks like. But in order for me to do that, I also need her to play her role and her part as far as becoming a part of this brand and visibility. Now, I manage it very carefully. I don't let her just go on anything. It's been a bunch of people that have reached out to me. Hey, I want to have Rita on my panel. No. I'm not letting my chick be a part of these YouTube streets. She's going to move according to how it is that I see things are supposed to go with her. And part of that is just me protecting her, right? But at the same time, again, I mean, she's sort of become a meme in herself, in that a lot of people will say stuff like, well, I want to read her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's become a thing, so to speak. So she's elevated my brand significantly, and I already knew that she would. But it's allowed me to tap into an audience that I would have not necessarily been a part of otherwise.
So now
Anton,
Sway. Oh yeah, I was going to say, go ahead.
Oh,
Sway.
I just wanted to ask Anton a question. I have no fight bark in this game. I don't want to disrespect the whole thing, but if Do you think that you would get the same praise, or Rita would get the same praise, if she was Drake's baby mama before you met her and you married her after that, and people knew, like, well, that's Drake's baby mama, that she had a kid by him? You know, do you think people will still give you the same amount of respect for marrying Rita?
Probably not initially, but it depends on who your audience is. If your audience is majority, like 54% women and 46% men, then yeah, I would get just as much praise. If I'm only looking to appeal to men, then probably not. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on who you want your audience to be. And I think that what we don't realize is that the world is much bigger than manosphere talking points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but when people say, I'm gonna get me a
money,
Rita, do you think they would still say that? Like, I want to get me a Rita. Do you think that would
no,
still
they
be
wouldn't.
okay?
They wouldn't.
Okay. That's
No,
basically
absolutely.
all I'm arguing, is that he could
Right.
have gotten a wife, but it didn't necessarily have to be Future's baby mama. The guy is Russell
Right.
Wilson. He could have
But
got a
here,
chick
but
that
you're
wasn't
missing
in
it,
the
Sway.
media.
But you're missing it, Sway. What it would do for me, though, on the flip side, is for women to say, I need me an Anton.
Yeah, and that's what women say. I need me a Russell. That's how he became his brand.
So
Yeah, women do spend more money, so
we can't be so short-sighted to where we're
Mhm.
only looking at how it benefits the woman. If you are sitting here telling me that Russell Wilson has not benefited significantly for being the perfect, I have changed my perspective towards Russell Wilson. At first, I was like, yo, this is the simplest dude I ever seen in my life. Now I'm like, you know what? He's doing something that I could never do, because he's being
Hold
a
on.
stepdaddy to a
So now,
father. You know,
Anton,
to a
let me push you on there. Let's take that a step further. You mentioned that Rita gets you into rooms that you probably would not have gotten into, or just get you into conversations into the minds of people that you might not have been able to penetrate. You think that Russell Wilson, being that who he is, I mean, because he didn't necessarily have some kind of bad reputation coming out of college. You know, I mean, actually, he was with a different woman before Ciara. We'll leave that alone. But he didn't have necessarily a bad reputation. He was always likable. He was probably going to be the same guy as far as the Seattle Seahawks were concerned. So do you think that he would not been able to get in those spaces anyway? I mean, you know, specifically to a guy like him versus a Future.
No, I don't think he would have been able to get into the same spaces at all.
But I guess my thing is, what spaces like are you referring to? Because his spaces, he wouldn't even know those doors exist. Like he wouldn't have walked into the Met Gala. He would have walked. He was.
Well, I mean, you figure you got a publicist, you got a manager, you got all these people, you got, you know what I mean? You would just guess that somebody like Russell Wilson, who you would imagine the Seahawks would have won that Super Bowl regardless of Ciara. So he would have still been that dude in those years. So would he have not been able to be this same guy without having to show this overly, you know, romantic side for any woman, let alone it be Ciara? I mean, if it was just Joe, you know, or Jane, what is it, plain Jane off the street, and he was doing this, you know, I feel like the reaction would still be the same. So I feel like him by himself, he would have been able to still been that guy. But
I don't think so, because I mean, LeBron James got Savannah, and she's a plain Jane, right?
Yeah.
But if you telling me that LeBron has not benefited significantly from the image of being with her, I would say that you're wrong.
So well, I think LeBron has benefited from like the family image. Like you don't have too many interviews with Savannah.
But the point, no, because
nobody knows who Savannah is in the sports world,
said it earlier.
Sports world.
Nobody respected Carmelo Anthony more because he was with Lala. It's not just the family image; it's how you craft the family image. It makes a huge difference. It's not.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying specifically Savannah. I'm saying LeBron with the family image. Like again, I'm not talking about her. Like he could have married a plain Jane and still have the same image.
No, it wouldn't have been the same.
It would have been exactly the same. Like Savannah's not. You don't like. Have you ever? Nobody heard Savannah.
So had LeBron got with Brandy, you think it would have been the
right?
Same?
You're talking about a plain Jane, because like Savannah's considered a plain Jane versus a Brandy.
No. Listen. This is what I'm saying, and this is what people have to understand marketing. You have to tailor what it is that you align with based off of who you are and what you need, right? For example, Jay-Z getting with a plain Jane would not have benefited him, right? Because his brand is completely different. LeBron getting with a plain Jane is necessary. Russell Wilson, that don't have the level of visibility as a LeBron James, needs something else, a different type of woman or a different type of family image in order to push him to another level, right? Nobody would have been checking for Russell Wilson if he would have been marrying a plain Jane. The reason why we're talking about him is the fact that he saved the chick that we first identified is from the streets, and he's changing the narrative of what it means to be a father. And so even people like me is looking up and saying, yo, stepfathers is something else. They need their whole another month. Like, I am not paying attention to Russell Wilson until I'm talking about, and he's changing this narrative. And so what I'm saying is different dudes, depending on who it is and where they are in their life, need certain type of images in order to propel them to be a certain level. You can't just say the family image in itself. It has to be a completely different narrative depending on who the guy is and how it is that they're looking to market themselves.
Right. So I agree. I think that what she gives him, she puts him in a room with people who would have written him off. You know, she's put him in a room with people that say to themselves, oh, he's not as bad as I thought. You know what I mean? Whereas most people felt like he only was marketed to, you know, white people or suburban people. She kind of puts him in a room with people who, like, he's corny, he's that, but then they're in that room together and they're interacting. He's like, yo, you know, Russ is all right.
So y'all think that Russell
I could agree. I would agree with that part.
He's not
y'all
on
think that
national
Russell
TV
Wilson is
outside of
getting
football.
into rooms. Y'all think that Russell Wilson is getting into rooms that like Aaron Rodgers and Cam Newton are not getting into?
Absolutely, 100%.
What married people want to hang out with a single guy?
Listen. Russell Wilson, I think, is playing for forever. Cam Newton will never be in the eyes of marketing people even remotely on the same level as Russell Wilson.
No.
Not even a little bit.
That's why he was there talking to Brittany Griner on all that and, you know, stumbling through that. Or he would have been chilling with his wife, never having that conversation.
You know what I'm hearing from Cam Newton? The stories that I'm reading is that, and I just literally got this like last week, it was a whole story that came out about the fact that he got 4 kids from a chick that he won't marry. Because
Cam Newton is his own worst enemy. Cam Newton he's his own worst enemy. Like that's a good example to use. Because again, he was a you know, years ago when he won an MVP, you couldn't say nothing about Cam Newton.
Cam was a Super Bowl away from being the face of the league like Russell Wilson is. So I imagine, okay, so then will it take, I mean, I guess Cam is also a bad example because he has like 6 or 7 children now. And so I don't know if he can get with a woman that will uplift him in the same way. Ladies, I would love to hear your opinion. You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Cam Newton and his just his, you know, NFL history and pop culture history, but can a guy like that be redeemed through the right relationship? Can he get with, I don't know who's Sweetie and turn it all around, or how that even go?
That's a good. That's a masturbated heaven right there. I want to see that one.
And to piggyback what Anton is saying is he's absolutely correct. You create a narrative, and then you pick and see who can fit that narrative to get to that goal. You have to be very intentional with that. Cam Newton, if I would speak to him, what do you want? I want to change his imagery that I'm a F guy who got a woman pregnant 4 times and I don't want to marry her. So I'm going to marry maybe a woman and who has kids, and I'll be the best stepdad and dad to my kids. It's all about that. Everybody has control over the narrative. And absolutely, if Cam wanted to do it with the right team, right marketing, the right push, the right get on the radio show, the Ellen DeGeneres, it's possible. That's how all galvanized created.
Unfortunately, I think Cam Newton is past the point of no return. In my mind, when I think of him, I think of an F boy. Like, I don't think of a husband, father figure. If he was going to change his narrative, he needs to marry the woman that he has kids with already, and they need to build together. That's my opinion. Like, I don't think he'll ever be
Ciara version of Russell Wilson. Needs to marry him.
I don't think him marrying another woman. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm going to marry this other woman, and I still have not married the woman I've had 4 children with. Because I still wouldn't think of him any differently.
We will look at her like she's stupid. This man just publicly humiliated you, got you pregnant 4 times. Now he's want to marry you. We are going to look at her crazy. That's still going to make him look. So starting over is going to be his best bet if that was what we do. Unfortunately,
think about it. You can use another example to illustrate how differently the public perceive you depending on who it is that you get with and how it is that you rock with your family. Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
The perfect example. Perfect example.
That's a good example.
the people perceive him a certain type of way based off of the person. First of all, we look at him as beta, right? We think that Gabriel is running that whole thing, that he ain't got a backbone in his body. And it's not just the family unit that's going to determine whether or not this dude is perceived the right way in mainstream America, let alone people that actually buy products. But also, just at large, he is not, in my opinion, looked at as, somebody that's marketable. Unless you're trying to tap into a certain demographic of people, and we all know who that is. So,
I mean, but does the NFL really can they really penetrate the female fan base like that? Like, is that what they're going for, or is Russ going for after football? Like, in terms of the today, what does it do for Russ today?
It's after football. It's after football for me. He's going for after.
That's what I'm saying. Is that I think that Russell Wilson is playing for forever. Russell Wilson is playing the long game. Everybody else is paying attention to the optics that's happening right now. Yeah. Russ is looking at he chasing Tom Brady and them, right? Honestly, he's chasing a different type of dude. He's chasing LeBron and them as far as marketability and visibility and products and how it is that he's going to be able to look at things after football. Cam, listen, I might catch Cam Newton one day on YouTube.
Yeah, or you might catch Cam Newton is the here and now.
Like I might catch looking for tomorrow. YouTube. Listen, Lapeef Network going up. Cam ain't got a chance against us. We gonna catch him. It's not even a problem.
Cam is
it looks like Russell Wilson's going for the like you said at the long game. I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Wilson retired about 4 years.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Think so?
And I wouldn't be surprised by that. He gonna try to get that one last contract and retire, and then, like you said, start doing media.
Yeah, I mean, from a football perspective, he is on the move. The Washington Commanders, which is what they're going after, or their name now. They were about to, give away all their draft picks and a couple guys for Russell Wilson. I think that they turned that deal down. I think the Denver Broncos are trying to go after him a little bit. So he's definitely probably going for another contract, and that'll probably be his last one. So I'm definitely with you on the long game, but it just seems weird because I feel like there's not really a lane for a profitable dad, because even Tom Brady is, he's kind of wishy-washy on retirement, and his thing is muscle recovery and that kind of thing. It's not necessarily family man, and I don't think that there's a family man athlete that there is to go off of to where we can clearly see why Russell Wilson is doing what he's doing. So that's why maybe it's kind of confusing as to what the end game is, from an entertainment standpoint. I mean, it's great to see their marriage.
Well, maybe he's creating his own lane.
I was just going to ask, okay, the football question is, what is the typical duration of a football career? Like, what is the current market value like?
Well, quarterbacks last way longer than anybody. Like, quarterbacks are like, I mean, Tom Brady is the exception. Like, don't count Tom Brady. He's like,
it depends on the positioning, but typically it's like 4 years.
Quarterback is like quarterback is a window between maybe 13 and 16 years, depending on how much you get hit. Like Michael Vick is probably less because he's smaller and he got hit a lot. Russell Wilson, he doesn't get hit a whole lot. He got his first real injury this year. He hurt his finger. He was out for like 6 weeks. So his longevity is a lot longer than, say, an offensive lineman or a running back whose window is like 10 to 12 years. So with Russell Wilson, he can easily play another 4 to 5 years. He takes care of his body, slides. I mean, little football stuff. He slides. He makes sure he doesn't take a whole lot of hits. So he'll be okay. But again, someone that's a receiver, 10, 11 years, something like that.
Yeah, also got
I was gonna say also too is that he was on record saying he spends $1 million on his body.
That's I wasn't really impressed by that because LeBron spent more than that on his body. LeBron,
y'all also got to understand that. I look at everything from a business and a marketing perspective. Football is a faceless sport for a lot of these dudes, right? Russell Wilson is getting more camera time and more visibility as a result, which generally benefit other athletes from other sports, such as basketball, a lot more. He's getting more face time, more visibility. He's getting into circles and having different conversations with different people that he wouldn't normally be privy to. And that's benefiting him significantly. He's winning.
So then would you guys say the same thing about Antonio Brown? That he understands the marketing side and he's putting himself out there. I mean, of course he's not doing it.
Brown is on a downward slope.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's
Well,
like mental health, yo.
That's a hard question.
Antonio Brown is like borderline mental health. And you know what's crazy is he's one of the most talented undersized receivers you're ever going to see play in the NFL. But the problem is he's another person that is in his own way, and he markets himself well, but I think a little of that is mental health too. And market himself well meaning like he'll be out with celebrities, Floyd Mayweather and all this, and he'll keep himself in the limelight. So when it's time, it's time to shine, he'll cross that realm and go shine. So I don't have a whole lot of issues with Antonio Brown, but I think mental health plays a big part of his whole growth. I don't think he wants to be that person. I don't think he wants to be that he'll never be that like Russell Wilson. He's always gonna be that same kind of athlete for that. So
well, with that, here's a question. Now that we've kind of discussed that, we kind of get to the meat of the conversation. Do we think that Ciara wants Russell Wilson back? And by that I mean, do women want the perfect man? A guy who's going to shower them with gifts, take care of them financially, pamper them with their, weekend spa getaways. Valentine's Day, they're getting the best gifts.
Right.
Let's bring children out of it and just
start with the women.
Relationship.
I gotta start with women. Yeah, I want the ladies.
Do they really want that? Yeah. And why do they want that? Is it really just to take the perfect picture and post it on Instagram, or is it something a little deeper than that? Mm-hmm. Shayna, we could throw it to you. What do you think?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Did you want me to follow up with that?
Yeah, I mean, why is it even a question? Why is it a question that they seem like they don't really want that?
So this is a conversation I have with a lot of women. It's actually kind of funny. I think women do want that, but a lot of women pick the wrong package. Like they see like this ghetto thug love, but they want this thug to transfer into a Russell Williams. Like I see women picking the bad guy all the time instead of the good guy that's going to take care of them, that's going to be there, that's going to support them, that's going to love them, that's going to value them. They pick the guy that treats them like trash. Do they want that? I think yes, but I feel like a lot of women try to make a guy into something that they're not instead of picking the actual good guy. So that's what I want, absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, you can.
But I guess the question is, why do they pick that guy in the first place?
What? So I read an article one time that we are conditioned to choose the bad guy, like the little girl that gets hit by the boy in school. Why do you like the guy that hits you instead of the guy that brings you flowers? Or why do we always pick the beast? Like, oh, I can make him and I can turn him and go to, it's me, it's my kiss that'll transform him into the good guy. I don't know. I think it's silly. I think you have the guy that's there for you and you kind of put him on the back burner like, oh, if it doesn't work out with this guy, then I'll choose the bad guy. I mean, the good guy that I have sitting just waiting for me in the back burner. I don't know why women do that.
I mean, could it be that maybe women like they always think that they can conquer, some women have a conquering attitude, just like some men do. And so they see a challenge and they see, I'm going to go over there and conquer that, versus the guy who wants to be with them, they may not see that as a challenge. So I wonder, what is perfection? Like, what if women like bad boys, then what's the definition of a perfect guy? How much bad boy is the perfect amount? Is he committing crimes, or is he getting loud with you? Is he getting
a bad boy? Are you willing to tolerate?
I hope he's not committing crimes.
Kyle know how to load these questions up, don't he?
I hope he's not committing crimes.
No, I think.
So.
Go ahead.
That's a good question. I'm sorry. Did you want to answer, Amber? I didn't want to just take up the whole.
No, go ahead. Finish. No, go ahead.
So I understand what you're saying, and yes, that bad boy aspect it's like this dangerous attractiveness, and I don't know why, but yes, I do think it's a challenge. However, I would say the perfect guy would be a guy who shows interest, but maybe isn't like this desperate attempt to get you. Like, hey, what are you doing? Where are you going? Where are you gonna be? Oh, wait, why didn't you answer my call? Like, okay, it's okay. I'm here. It's fine. But but still shows interest. Like, hey, what are you doing? Maybe Sunday. Maybe can we catch a movie? Do you want to go have a picnic or something? That's adorable, but not like, oh, hey, we hung out yesterday. Can we hang out tomorrow? Can we hang out Sunday? Can we hang out Monday?
Wait.
You don't have a life too? Like, I have a life.
Why don't you just tell the whole truth? It's the same reason why y'all get why y'all show off y'all wedding rings. Y'all do it for other women. You want the thing that other women want. That's really what it comes down to.
Well,
I think. Wouldn't you say that men want that too?
Well, we're not talking about the men. We're talking about women.
Well, here's the thing, right? It's no such thing.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's no such thing as a perfect man. Let's just nip that in the bud now.
But
no such thing as a perfect man. But I think
there is the perfect man for you.
Exactly, and that
like
was my
your
next
version
point,
of what's perfect for you.
But it's like the movie, like Forgetting Sarah Marshall. That's how she sounds, right? When he's on the surfboard and he says, "Okay, go forward. Wait, don't do anything. All right, stay there. Keep going forward." It's like women want all these different versions of like every single man, and that just doesn't exist.
Shannon, do you think most women know what the perfect man actually looks like for them, or do they have such high expectations that they believe this perfect man should be their perfect man? Like they want Clark Kent, they can change into Superman, they change back, and then they want like basically a guy to be a chameleon where he can change his form whenever on a given cue. Like I don't think that's realistic. And I guess that is, to follow back to my question, do you think women actually know what the perfect man looks like for them, or they just have an idea of what a man is?
I think women absolutely do not know what they want.
I wanted to jump.
Go ahead. I'm going to mute.
Oh, my connection.
If you keep talking, we can hear you, Kayla. I don't know if you can hear me. All right, go ahead, Shana. She might be on delay if she come back in. So I don't think
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Go ahead, Kayla.
She can't hear us.
So hopefully y'all can hear me. What up, everyone? Okay. So what I wanted to say was that no, I don't think women want a perfect man. If you have a perfect man, then you got to be perfect, and a lot of us are not. So you want to have a decent amount of flaws, and he has a decent amount of flaws, and then we can both, see that and write those off, and like, you have your faults, I have mine too. But if someone is perfect and they have like everything, they're doing everything, then you're going to be expected to be that too. And just me personally, I'm not perfect, so that would come the issue. I more so believe in like the 80-20, like as long as I can get 80% of everything that I want or need or whatever, then I'm good. But everybody has their issue though. Saying like that I want somebody perfect, that's just not like realistic to me.
Okay.
I don't think women will come right out and say, I want the perfect man. They won't say that. But everything they describe will describe somebody who's perfect. You know what I mean? Like, I think the hardest thing to gain in life is balance.
I got it. Go.
Like it is very hard. I'm 40 years old and I've been trying, and I've always noticed once I achieve in one thing, something else suffers since I've been alive. So essentially women will want, or not say it, but they'll say, well, I want somebody that's not up under me, but he's ambitious. Or I want somebody that's, at the house spending time with me, but I want him to be ambitious and be a hustler. Like, I want a guy that is not blowing my phone up all the time, but I want to feel like he's not I want a guy that's not blowing my phone up all the time, but then I want him to check in. So everything is like contradicting what they're wanting, but it's explaining balance, and balance is like perfection essentially in a human being. So, and I think TV growing up, what you saw, TV shows you watch, books you read, the bad boy, You had this guy with the comb over walking the girl to her next class when she get out of school. You got the dude with the leather jacket chewing gum, leaning on the car. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, y'all wanted that. Y'all wanted the Fonzie. You know what I'm saying? So you're like, yeah, let me try this out. Let me see how this go down. So I think collectively, all of that plays into what you want, and it's confusing. You know what I mean?
Also, when, you know what I mean? When do you want the perfect guy? Because some of y'all don't want the perfect guy when you're 22. You want the perfect guy when you're 35, you know? And so I think that there could, you know, kind of run into some issues too in terms of when this same guy is presenting himself to you, because kind of relating it back to Russell Wilson, I would say that he's been, at least from a media standpoint, seems to be the same guy throughout his whole career. I haven't seen any kind of drastic change in his attitude. Everything that he's done seems to be, I would have guessed that that's how he would have acted when I first saw him when he was still in Wisconsin. So, and he was married prior to Ciara. So you figure one woman saw him and saw, you know, some kind of pushover and, you know, kind of messed their marriage up. And now Ciara sees him and sees this great dad and great man. So, you know, what happened between those two women? Or do you think it was Russell Wilson that became some better version of himself?
Can I say something? Or?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I talked a lot. You can go first.
Well, what I was gonna say, ladies, I'm the most imperfect person in the world. I got so many goddamn flaws, it's pitiful.
What?
I'm just saying. My man Jay's been watching too many goddamn Grease movies with this comb over. But as far as wanting a perfect man, good luck, ladies. Because you're not gonna find it. The Lord's already gone.
So,
he ain't coming back for you. But as
I
far as
think
me, go ahead.
No, like I think Kayla trying to say something. She has a delay. Go ahead, Kayla, if you can hear us.
Okay, so what I want to say in terms of whoever just said in terms of when do you want the perfect man? So does the perfect, him being perfect, like what does that mean in regards to that question? Does that mean at 21 he's not doing what 21-year-olds do? He's all on his responsible, blah blah blah. Is he doing all that at 22 too, or? You know what I mean? Is that what the perfect man's doing? Or is he doing what 21-year-olds are doing, and so we're doing what 21-year-olds will do, and then when we get 30, we're doing what 30-year-olds do? Or is it like, as a perfect guy, that means you don't do anything wrong, you don't do no turning up, you don't do no making no mistakes? Like, what does being perfect at 21 look like?
Well, I think maybe Shayna kind of said that earlier, that it's probably gonna be different. The perfect man is gonna be different for every woman. So, but you at 21, if somebody said, "What's your perfect guy?" and then you meet that guy and you say, "I'm really not feeling him because I'm trying to be over here right now," and so you figure,
that's tough.
What, you know, if you meet this perfect person, what does that person look like, and when are you ready to meet them? You know, if you say what was the perfect guy at 21 and you don't meet that guy till 30. Is it the same? Has that guy changed now? Is it going to be a different perfect guy? Is it universal?
And I think that's where a lot of people will say, like, oh man, that's the one that got away. Like, you look back and you're like, that guy was like really good for me, but I didn't see it because I was so young and I was into having fun and maybe I didn't realize it. But I don't think perfection is really the word that we can use when it comes to people, because like Kayla said, like Jay said, there are no perfect people, but I think there is like a match for you that works best and that you two can work well together. But I think you have to know yourself before you can know what a perfect person for you looks like. But as young girls, we're fashioned to have the prince idea, like, oh, I want to be a princess and have this prince come whisk me away on his, bring me to his perfect castle and have this perfect life. But we never really see like, what is the after? It's always the end, and they ride off into the sunset on this horse and carriage, but what does their everyday life look like?
But
like,
also, when we talk
perfection
about,
doesn't really exist.
When we talk about us at 21 years old versus us at 35 years old, I don't know about anybody else on this panel, but me at 21 years old didn't have social media. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have Snapchat. We didn't have direct access to everything that we think we want to see. So again, if you're single now, you're going into, you know, you may not directly say it, but what you see, social media, whatever it is, it still gives you ideas of, oh, I want that kind of man. I wish this man do that for me. I wish this man do that for me. And you kind of try to smush this man into one big ball into being the perfect man. That's where that term like perfect just
None of
doesn't
that
work.
matters, bro. None of that matters, not even a little bit.
It's easy to say that, but it does matter.
It doesn't matter because first of all, women don't even know what they want. Like what they say they want and what they truly want is two different things. None of that matters. That's A.
I
B,
think
and
I
B,
think that it may not again, it may not matter, but they see it, and it creates an
but
expectation.
that again, it doesn't matter what they want or what they say because they're going to move a certain type of way when they get around certain men anyway. So none of that matters, right? We don't care about what their image is, which is why they go with bad boys at the end of the day, regardless of what it is that they taught when they was younger. None of that matters. It goes out the window when a certain type of dude walk in the room. That's A. And B, the reason why you see women have, oh, that's the one that got away or whatever, so on and so forth, later on in life is because perfection are their ideals or or what it is that they deem as perfection evolves as they continue to get older and grow, right? The things that you want at 21 and 22 is going to change from the things that you look at and you want from when you're 35 and 40 and from when you're 60 and 62. You know what I'm saying? All of that is going to continue to evolve. I'm not even the same person that I was last year as far as how it is that I look at things, as far as like what's valuable to me in people or the people that I surround myself with. So my point is that you got to take what women say with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean anything. Literally, it does not mean anything at all.
That's tough.
I mean, and I kind of agree with what Anton's saying because every woman says they want to get married. They like the ideal of being married. I don't know if they're ready for that work that they have to do to be married.
I think that's people
because
in general.
there's some
Honestly.
things.
That's people in
Yeah,
general.
but no,
Honestly, like
no.
everybody says they want to get married. But when you get married, it's not the end all be all. You can be the same person. You can be a different person that y'all were when y'all get married. And that's why people get divorced. So you have to grow together. So yeah, I think that's
You gotta
everybody. That's not just.
understand why people
But it's the work.
get married.
It's the work.
want to get married because they want to give the perception to everybody else that they feel good or they're successful, which is why you have big weddings, which is why you don't have people just going to the courthouse and getting married, because it's not about getting married. It's about what marriage or the perception of marriage. Again, you got to look at women for who they are. They want big rings. They want big weddings. They want to give the perception. They want to show off. They're doing it for other people. They're not necessarily doing it for themselves. So when you look at what women inherently want, it's different from what they say. It's completely different, bro.
And Amber, and I'm curious to get an actual woman's perspective on this because I think that's not always the case. I think every woman wants that. I know of plenty of couples that have eloped and plenty of couples that have this giant marriage and end up not working, or had giant marriage that did work. I think people are different. We can't put every woman in this bag and say this is how all women are. That's just my opinion.
Well, I'm not even talking about the show that you just talking about. Even if you elope, there's still work you have to put in. That's a lot of work. It's not. It's a career. It's not a job. It's a career.
I've been married.
Marriage is a career.
Years, and every year has been work. Every year has been. Some years are terrible. Some years are hard, and that's what people don't see.
Not me.
That's what people don't see.
A career, you have to work at it every day, day in and day out. You have to work at your marriage.
Exactly. Same thing. It may come easy for you, but it may not come easy for some. Right. Well, I don't work. It may come easy for you.
Work on me.
Well, what I've seen, what I have experienced, and what I've known to be, women don't the perfect man. They create a perfect narrative of how they want their life to be, what they want people to see, and find a guy to fit that narrative. And it's proven not to really work. I mean, just across humanity, nobody's perfect. Like Hank said, I'm not perfect. I'm a single mother of a 13-year-old. I'm 39. Like, I know what I'm working with, what I'm asking a man to accept. Prime example, the man I'm dating. I wanted a man who is affectionate, calls me all the time. The man I'm dating, he doesn't like affection. I'm like, cool, because everything else I like about you outweighs the few things I think I'm not getting. No women don't want perfection. They want the narrative and the character or the role. Majority of women want the character or the role to fit that for the perception. My opinion.
So where does dating on potential fall on this then? If your idea of perfection evolves Do you see somebody who you think could be your perfect man in 15 years and rock off of that? Or are you looking to grab the man as he's already fitting into your narrative? So do you date up and try to find him, or should you try to build a person into your perfect spouse over time?
That's asinine. If you can't accept that at that moment as is and allow them to make the decision if they want to change and be better, it's just a recipe for disaster. Because I don't know trying to change me. It's different with encouraging and bettering and seeing the potential, but essentially it's my choice.
I would bet you that what it is that you desire, Amber, is much different today than what it was maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago.
I agree. I'm not even 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, great. That's anybody.
My father. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm not 6 months ago, so you're absolutely correct.
Hey, Amber, I think you fading, cutting in and out. It's just on my end, or you guys see that too?
Can you hear me now?
A little bit, yeah. I can hear you.
Let me say that. I was saying.
It's a little sad to keep this. All right. Okay. Go ahead, Shana. You were gonna say something?
Yeah. So my father used to always tell us, I'm one of 4 daughters. He used to always tell us, when you choose a spouse, you need to make sure they're pretty close to what you want when you marry them, because people don't change that much throughout life. And I also think that as far as dating, as far as potential, I think that's something that you need to discuss. Like, for example, I could never be happy because I'm very ambitious. I'm always on the go. I'm a go-getter. I could never marry like a couch potato person, like someone who's just happy sitting on the couch playing video games. That would never work for me because I'm always on the go. I would like leave him in the dust. I need somebody that's going to like match my drive. Like, okay, let's go together. Let's do it together. But I think that's a conversation that needs to be had. Like, is this what you're looking for in the future? Is this what you want too? Because if it's not, you're going to be heading in 2 different directions and have 2 different paths, and you can't possibly grow together. But that's my 2 cents.
Do you think there's a certain amount of just accepting somebody though? Because I feel like it would be tough to find a perfect person that's pre-made already for you, you know, because then you might be adjusting your values and what you really want to this person because they fit everything else. And so you would maybe think, if I can find someone at 21 who's also 21, by the time me and that person is 35, this person will be the perfect person for me because they grew with me, versus you're 21 and you find a 30-year-old and they have maybe all your attributes on paper. And so you're now going to adjust maybe your real life attitude towards them because they match all of your, you know, they check off all your boxes. So I just wonder how you split the two.
I mean, again, I think that's conversation. I think a lot of people just jump into relationships based off of lust. Like, oh, I like you, you like me, we look good together. Let's do it. Oh, let's get married. But there's so many conversations that need to happen when you're talking about building your life together. It's like, how do you want to raise kids? How do you feel about finances? What do you want to do in life? What do you see your life in 5, 10, 15 years? If people actually talk, a lot of people will realize they're not compatible. Like, oh, so you're happy with this? No, it's not going to work. And as far as accepting people, I think you can accept the person the way they are. I don't think you should try to change a person. Like, that person may be perfect for someone else. You shouldn't be trying to force them to be a certain way. But I do think if they have certain vices that you're not okay with, then, or deal breakers, I think then you should cut it there. Like, okay, I'm not really necessarily okay with someone who squanders and gambles all the money away. Like,
I have to kind of agree with my man Anton on this one, because that sounds great on the surface. Those conversations sound great in the beginning. You want to have those conversations, like, oh, you need to have these, but lust, I do think lust supersedes all. So if you're talking about this and y'all still vibing, and say y'all in a physical relationship and that part is great, that is going to overshadow everything. Now the end result may end up being like, oh, he hurt me, this is not the relationship I should have been in. But I think those conversations are never had up front. It's easy to talk about. We're going to have them. It's easy to say, like,
I have them all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, you can have them all the time, but still, like, you probably made, again, I'm not saying anything you have done. You probably made some questionable decisions. Not even those questions didn't. If those conversations didn't go great, it probably still wasn't the end. I'm cutting you off. That's it.
None of those conversations even matter, to be honest with you, bro.
Yeah.
Be honest with you, none of
That's
it
what I'm
matters
saying, like,
because people
right.
compromise. People often at times 99% of the stuff that they get in, like they'll compromise.
Yeah.
That's not the
Yeah.
reason why people break up. It's not, hey, he didn't want kids, I didn't want kids, or oh man, I like to fly, they like to drive. That's not thing. As a matter of fact, me and Rita are 1000% complete opposites in every single way, even down to the food that we like.
Yeah.
We are 100% opposites. That's not the thing, which is why it doesn't matter about the conversations. It matters about observing people in their natural state. Because even in dating, right, people will tell you what you want to hear just so they can get to the next step or they're going to have a good time, right? I don't believe, and that's why I don't believe in dating. I think that the person that you wind up marrying has to just be a person that's a part of your network that you observe and you naturally see who they are as a person and as an individual. You see how they respond to issues. You see who they are in their natural state. You see how they, how ambitious they are in corporate America or whatever. Anybody can tell you, yeah, I want to own my own company one day. Okay, cool. Nice. Have a good time. Let me show you how to get an LLC. Keep it moving, fam. But how people are ambitious as far as who it is that they network with and all of this other type of stuff. That's the things that you see when people are a part of your network. And that's when you become friends with people, because then you see, or they express to you how they truly are in their actions, not the things that they're having a conversation about. So what people say don't mean anything. Y'all need to get close to people and just be able to observe them in their natural state, not be in a space where they trying to impress you because they on a date with you. You're going to run into you're going to kiss a lot of frogs like that.
Can I ask a question?
Those frogs are pretty much everywhere. That's what people do at the date stage. It sounds like the right thing to do, but in the dating stage, number frogs.
Listen, now I'll give you an example, bro. I can point to at least 3 different couples that's a part of my Patreon. Just because I've connected them and they all going in the same direction, they started having conversations, they spent an extraordinary amount of time together, we went to meetups together and all of that. I know people that's a part of my network that's getting married next month. Just because they've been around a group of people. When they came in, I was like, oh man, all these chicks for the streets or whatever. They've been around a group of people that's going in the same direction as them. They've been able to observe each other in the same spaces. They all on the Discord together. They talk on the phone all the time or whatever, so on and so forth. Now they getting married because they've been able to observe each other without any kind of lust bucket or, sex is clouding your judgment and all of this other type of stuff. They've been able to observe themselves in a natural state, which gave them more insight into who the person truly was. It works all the time. All you got to do is create the environment, and it happens all the time, bro.
I 100%
Yeah, I
agree
mean
with
that's
you. I just
why.
think that environment doesn't always exist.
Well, it doesn't. It's hard to find it outside of college. That's why a lot of times people start
Yeah.
trying to find their match their junior and senior year, because you can see them in their natural element on a given basis, day to day, in friend groups, at dinner, wherever the case may be.
Mhm.
You don't necessarily have to just meet a random person, take them out, and then go through that weird, awkward phase of trying to get to know a person. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times it's harder for people to find those environments like Anton has built, because no one is willing to actually create them unless you go to like a work function. That's why a lot of people probably marry somebody from their job or someone connected to their job or something close like that, or a friend of a friend. It's rarely ever just a random person off the street. So
Yeah, that's what I said, man. Like, I'm in the Facebook group, you know what I mean? And it's normally like a war in there. And I'm like, damn, yo, if these people put down the weapons, man, they might find their wife. They might find their husband.
Jay, I thought you were about to say you found some love in the Facebook group.
Oh,
I thought we was everybody was coming out. I'm like, next.
That's solid. That's solid, man. For real.
Not yet.
Can I ask Anton a question?
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you believe more in like the courtship way of dating. So that's kind of how they do in church. Like you have your young adults group and everybody goes out together and you just hang out as a group and you're like, oh, I kind of like the way that she is. Yep. But I know you said the conversations aren't really that important, but there was something about your wife that stood out to them and her stand out above all the other women.
Yeah, she was my friend. She was my best friend.
And what made you want to marry her versus your other female friends?
Because she was my best friend, and we actually got an opportunity to just learn about how each other think And it didn't even matter whether like we was on the same page, because we was never on the same page ever, as far as like our values and things like that. As a matter of fact, she's the thing that everybody, like, her background and where she come from is the thing that everybody says is wrong with women. Born to a single mother, had color in her hair, loved long nails, independent, all of this other type of stuff. And right after that, she got up right up under my covering. She did what the piss I told her to do, because she understood that, I was what was best for her. But ultimately, it was just that we never introduced sex into the conversation. We never got into that. We never was dating. It wasn't none of that. It was just like, yo, that's my dog right there. And that's just really what it was. It wasn't built on anything outside of friendship.
And I think that's hard.
So you cultivated her after you were married.
Yeah.
Anton, if you don't mind me asking, how long you been married?
18 years.
18 years. Okay, you got me beat. I'm married 13. I mean, that's, it's funny you say that, because and it goes back to like Sway's comment. I met my wife in college. We went to art school, met her in college, and she was completely opposite. Like, I grew up Southside Chicago, kind of used to a whole lot of hood girls, a whole lot of situations that probably wouldn't have got me no further. But she was the opposite, and she wasn't my best friend growing up. But in college, she was just this real, like, calm and collected girl from the suburbs. So for me, I think we grew together. She grew into being my best friend. We didn't start off best friends. We didn't start around each other a whole lot, and that worked out better for me. And us growing together. So I think we did a lot of growing together, which obviously is easier for some. Some days are hard, some days are easy. But that was, that's kind of my perspective as far as, like, we didn't even go through dating stage. We used to hang out. She worked for Apple, so I used to use her laptop. You said who?
That's literally friendship.
Well, she wasn't my best friend. She was just a cool girl. It was friendship. You can call it cool. You can call it friendship. I was cool with a lot of girls, so I was just around her.
That's my point. Is that she was just a part of your network, so you was able to observe her and who she truly was without all of the other stuff that came along with it.
Well, that's my point of. I mean, besides you saying like that was the best friend, that was my point of saying like that does work. It really does. I'm just saying here and now, in this day and age, I think that's very difficult. You have to get yourself around a circle of people that are going to create an environment for you to see how that person is in their own true self, because 95% dating, as you said, are frauds. They're going to tell you what you want to hear to get to the next stage.
Go ahead, Shanae. I'm sorry, Shanae.
I have a question. It's okay. So if none of that matters, then why can't I just marry someone that's walking down the street? Like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, it's you. Let's go. Let's make this work together.
That's just not reality, though. It's just not reality.
Who was it for? What was that question?
The question is, so you said none of the conversations matter. Women don't know what they want. So why can't some guy just come off the street? You're the one. Let's get married. Let's make this work. Let's do life together.
Has anybody ever heard me use the pebble analogy? That I could take a pebble?
I haven't. Please.
Hit her with it, bro.
I say this all the time. I say that I could take a pebble, throw it in a crowd of women, let it hit one, and then be successful married to her. I say it all the time. I could take a pebble, throw it in a crowd of women, hit one, and be successful. I say it all the time.
Why is that?
Yeah, I like to hear that.
Because I'm the person that creates the environment for being successfully married. I've literally groomed my wife into being the woman that she is today.
Man, Anton, I really got to agree. I agree with Anton. I've never necessarily said it that way, but I've always felt like if I were to be single, I'm also married. Me and my wife have been married now nearly 14 years. Or we've been together 14 years. We've been married like 10 now. And so, but I say it all the time. Like, I imagine if I was to get back out in the dating market, I could just pick out anybody because I know, I understand how the dynamic works. So when it comes to the idea of perfection, it's really just whatever you set the tone of your relationship, whatever boundaries you set, and then, kind of compromising for that person's attitude, if you like them enough, and then you just make it a perfect situation. But finding the perfect person just seems like, kind of fairy tale, Disney movie type stuff. And so I wonder why that's still a thing. Do you all still think that that's not a thing anymore? Is that more of a talking point that we bring up that's no longer reality, the perfect person, or trying to find?
Think about it though, Kyle. Honestly, why are arranged marriages much more successful than when people pick for themselves?
That is true.
Because the family won't allow them to divorce.
That itself destroys the whole myth of love and compatibility and all of this other type of stuff.
But arranged marriages, they never get divorced, right? Their expectations to stay married forever, right? So they don't have do they have a choice to get divorced? They have a choice to say this person doesn't work for me.
No, the idea behind arranged marriages is that they don't pick their own spouse.
Well, I'm talking about the end result. I'm talking about their parents choose a spouse, but you can't divorce that spouse. Am I right?
I mean, culturally, yeah, it would be frowned on for them to get divorced. Like,
right. So even if it doesn't work, you still have to.
Yeah.
You said who?
You can get divorced.
Okay, I'm not really sure about I never researched arranged marriages. I just know that I think divorce is highly frowned upon, and if it doesn't work, then they, usually just end up sticking it out,
But the point is that they grow to love each other, right? The foundation of the marriage is not based off of how you feel. It's based off of principles that's much deeper than that, which fosters the environment for you guys to be able to grow and love each other.
Ooh, according to the numbers, arranged marriages, the divorce rate is 4%.
Sounds about right.
I think y'all get on board. Y'all got to get on board, man. I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about.
Get on board.
Hey, Anton, I guess I've been throwing too many damn rocks then, huh? Hey.
You gotta get it.
You gotta get my shit together, huh? But I think the reason why they look down on arranged marriages, man, because they feel like it's inhumane, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why they look down upon it.
So normally with the arranged marriages, I'm sorry.
I was just saying that I think it's an element of control, especially in American culture. We all are very obsessed with our own perceived freedoms. There's a laundry list of reasons to that. So there's an element of controlling your own life that's what you really don't like. I don't think it has anything to do with the arranged part. It's just the can't nobody tell me what I got to do with my life type of attitude that makes it the difficulty. And that's what that gets carried into your marriage. Because now instead of kind of submitting yourself to the marriage, you're still holding on to this individual mindset of, well, even though our parents put us together, you still can't tell me what to do kind of a thing. So I think that's where the issues can come up. But according to the statistics, people who get into that kind of relationship understand what they're getting into and usually don't leave it.
Yeah, I talked to this dude. I think he was in Australia, and him and his brothers and his dad were actively, I guess you could say, courting a guy for their sister. You know what I mean? For, the daughter. So, I questioned him about it, and, they were courting one guy. I guess he didn't make the cut, so they got him out of there, and I was just kind of asking him what were the prerequisites or what was the determining factor. And I asked, did she have say? Did she have final say? And essentially she didn't. You know what I mean? She didn't. So it's one of those cut and dry things. But
that's what I always thought, arranged marriages are very cut and dry. Even if you work to be happy, you work to learn this person, and you don't really have a whole lot of time because you're already married. So
it's not about happiness. It's about growth. That's the problem. People are chasing happiness, and happiness is subjective. The goal is to chase growth. It's not about happiness. It's never about happiness. It's about growth. Happiness comes along with it, right? That's just state of mind. That's the way it is. Life happens to everybody, but whether or not you have a positive perspective, an outlook towards it should be the determining factor between success and failure. Growth is what you should be chasing. Forget happiness. We don't care about happiness.
It seems like there's so many, you look around the manosphere space, and you definitely hear a lot of, I say, women who say that they're kind of holding out for a seemingly perfect guy. Mm-hmm. So it seems like we're all in agreement that person doesn't exist, that there is no perfect person, let alone perfect man. Even the perfect man probably has a lot of skeletons in his closet, but there's a large segment of the population that are holding out for a more perfect situation. So where's the disconnect between what we're saying now and, maybe what's going on in Miami? tonight? What is the issue there?
I think the
I
biggest
think
problem right now is there's too many options. And they have these
Mm.
analogies about the wife store and the husband store where like you just don't want to settle. The social media age is like you just have way too many options. So a lot of guys don't necessarily want to settle for one chick. They think they can just smash as many chicks as they want. And then women, they don't necessarily want to settle for one guy because they get so much attention that they feel like Mr. Right could just be around the corner. It's just one DM away. So
And people don't live to grow. People live for the here and now. They feel for fun, happiness, and all the stuff that they see. That growth that's the aftermath. Like again, it sounds great. It sounds like that's what's supposed to happen, but it doesn't happen that way. People don't, if there were more arranged marriages, I guarantee it'd be a less divorce rate among African Americans. I'm sure. Like normal people just don't think about it like that. Think about the happiness. Think about what I want to build, what I want to do with this person, not build, but do what I want to, where we want to go, the trips we want to go on. Like I think that's the tough part of people dating now.
So
and I think
I think the good thing about arranged marriages, I'm sorry.
No, you fine. Go ahead.
I think the good thing about arranged marriages is the fact that it's usually your parents choosing. And with your parents, they know you, they've learned you for like when you're still a child, they're learning you. They know who you are, they know what's good for you, they know what you like more so than you do at that time. And they're gonna pick what's best for you. So I think that's a lot of times why it works out because you're choosing for what you think you want, and they know what's best for you as the older person and being in a relationship already, they're like, this is what's going to work best for my daughter. So I'm going to choose this because I know in the end she'll be happier.
So from a marketing standpoint, do you think that labeling someone as perfect for anything is going to be in the future? I imagine there's a perfect spokesperson, the perfect this and that. Is that language being, kind of weeded out of the marketing space now? Because it seems like you relate with people more through their flaws versus through their perceived perfections. So is that even an idea that's becoming like taboo the more we go into these modern years?
Can you hear me? Is you guys hear me? The word perfection is completely dangerous. It actually catalyzed cancel culture because once you step out that perfection and do or say something wrong, you are, may get canceled, which is the dumbest thing in the world. And in all actuality, a lot of content creators is actually building better relationships with being authentic about their inauthenticity. And so with that in business, it also cross-pollinates to relationships. Like I guess the 80-20 rule, but if you literally can accept that person as is, I've had girlfriends who complain about their man. And I said, if your man proposed to you right now, get on one knee with the ring of your choice, but how he is who he's going to be forever. He is not changing. Would you say yes? No, he need to do this. I'm like, then that's not the man for you. It's literally up to that person, that individual, that human to want to grow to whatever level of perfection they want to be. It's nobody else's decision or choice or should be pressured.
And I think like what Sway was saying in regards to options, people just having the illusion of options. I would be late to work every day because I would look in my closet and I had so many options, and I would sit there and I'd be like, damn, I'm gonna kill him with the blue tie. Well, nah, maybe I should go with the red tie. And I would be late to work because there was so many options. I said, you know what? I'm wearing the same thing every day. Monday, this is what I'm wearing. Tuesday, this is what I'm wearing. That's what I'm wearing, and I started to get to work on time because I knew exactly what I was dealing with. You know what I mean? It wasn't no match this, match that. I just said, I'm gonna wear a uniform on these days. And I became more progressive, so options, it can hinder you in a way because it'll have you not trying to make a decision.
I hear you on that, Jay. I've been late trying to match up the socks with the pants. You know what I'm saying? I feel you on that. Go ahead. But I feel you on that for sure.
Man, but like they was saying, I remember, I think it was a Thursday show, the people Let's Talk, Courtney was talking about she's not good with options or something like that. And I agree. There's a lot of people who don't give them no options because, man, if you do, you're in a world of trouble. So I think the less options for some certain individuals, the better.
When it comes to me, man, I think I like options, man. I think I'm just obsessed with being able to make a decision. So even if you have a lot of, because I mean, let's be for real, there's gonna always be a lot of options in life. You may try to ignore them, but they're there. So being able to make a sound decision and then being able to own it, and if it doesn't work out, or if it's a few stumbles in there, then being able to figure out. So that's what I like. I don't mind making decisions. I don't mind options. I guess that's probably a better way of saying it.
How's the wife hunt going, JR, with all them options?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm
But
all. I'm
but,
all. I'm
You're not trying
always
to be
be
giddy
good.
like Rilla? You're not trying to
but
be
No,
giddy like Rilla?
I'm always be good.
um,
Sway.
but that takes a guy that has reached a certain level of self-awareness and maturity and growth within themselves to even be able to be satisfied with that. Because, like, for example, I can, even in any situation, cars, whatever, no matter what it is, I'm satisfied with the idea that I can do what I want to do. I don't have to necessarily partake. I'm cool. And so I think that takes a certain level of maturity, because I think other people that haven't reached that level yet is just going to indulge. They're gonna jump into everything and anything that they can get their hands into, because they're not used to anything, if that makes sense, or they don't know what that level of discipline that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that JR has reached a level of maturity and growth in his life to where that makes sense. Now, JR 20 years ago, you give him the same level of options, we might be in trouble out here in these streets.
Yeah, I mean, you
It
never
might
lied
be
about
the
that.
Lapeef OnlyFans network instead of the Lapeef network. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, I kind of want to bring this up a little bit because you guys kind of threw me off for making this point earlier when y'all said that it was all PR, it was possibly scripted, and they knew what was going on. But if you really look at it in our everyday lives, we often see that we do have men that appear to be the perfect guy, not because it's just who they are, but they're more so trying to cater to that woman, trying to do everything she needs. And I think Shayna hinted to a little bit of like she doesn't want like a yes man. When I was looking at that, and again, I don't know if it's real or not, but it was almost like she was caught off guard. And it's like, oh, you just coming with like too much. Now you want another baby. I gave you two already. You want another one. I already had another one outside of that. Let's just like slow down. But we do see guys that come with that approach. They just own them about everything. I want this. I want that. So do women like a guy with a little bit of edge? And not necessarily like the perfect guy, because when we look at when we say the perfect guy, we're thinking about, I don't know, this like fairy tale type of image. But I don't know if I'm even saying this right. You guys understand what I'm trying to say?
I'll use Ciara as an example. I believe, and I could be wrong, if she had her way, she would still be with Future, but treated the way Russell's treating her. He had her perfect man. It will be with Future, Russell treatment.
So they do get bored, you think, with the perfect guy, so to speak, with the nice guy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree on that. 100%.
That's sad too, man. That's sad to hear.
Yeah.
Right. It's just this.
Why you say it's sad, Hank?
Honest.
You know why I say it, dog. Come on, man.
What?
This man's gonna be it. He's gonna he's gonna be one of them emotional abusive guys, man. You rather you rather be with that? Come on, man. Hi, damn. There's no damn ladies. Let's do better. Let's do better, ladies.
That's facts, man. Hey.
But I mean, it's the onus on them though, because like I always say that I didn't start dating until after I got married. Right? My mindset is that I'm always dating, I'm always working, I'm always putting my best foot forward, I'm always trying to grow, I'm always trying to have foreplay, I'm always trying to figure that out. I don't want to sit on the couch all day. I want to travel the world. You know what I'm saying? I want to change the face of the earth. I want to see what experiences are. I want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, is the onus just to, and I'm not saying you're wrong at all, I'm just asking a question. Do we need to open up our mindset and not get too comfortable? Because I think that comfort is the thing that starts to foster that issue that you know what I'm saying, that people experience.
I think that's balance. You know what I mean? Like once you're in something for a period of time, like I always say, I wish I had the same ambition when I'm single. I wish I had the same ambition as I'm single, that I wish I could transfer that into a relationship. You know what I mean? I wish I can not get complacent or not get comfortable. You know, it's hard. I wish I still had that same get up and
Why don't
go.
you,
When
Jay? Why you don't think you can do it though?
I've never been successful at it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that I can't. Just as of now, I haven't been successful at it. So, you know, I don't know whether it's a time thing, you know, catering to someone else or giving them the time that they feel they need takes away from something that I could be doing for myself, something that I could be, you know. And some people will allow you that, and other people may require more time. And I guess just balancing that has been hard thus far.
I think sometimes you just have to mentally like acknowledge that you've been lackluster, like you've been slacking. A lot of times we don't necessarily feel like we slacking because we taking care of everything. We might be paying the bills. We might be, you know, maybe giving her lunch here and there. But sometimes like we might feel that that's enough, or we're around, we listen, we talk, we sleep together, you know, the sex, whatever. But a lot of times it's probably, you know, we need more than that. You need date nights. You need a little bit of adventure times. Go on a hike. Do something that you probably, you know, can actually have a memory about. And a lot of times we get lackluster on that because we feel like we're around them all the time. You know, we love them. They know we love them. So what's the problem? But you know, women,
That's been a
they
transition.
need more
That's
than
been a
that.
transition for me now. Like even been married for so long. You know, you guys, I've been married a little bit shorter time than Anton, a little longer than Kyle, 13 years. But you still have to date. You still got to get to know the person. You know, just because you live with them, you pay bills with them, you raise kids together. You know, we bought a bigger house and bought a bigger house. You know, and your career goes up. You still have to date that person. That's why a lot of times people grow apart, because they forget that you have to talk to this person like just regular conversation. You know, you go through emotions in life, and it's only 24 hours in a day. You know, I'm always busy. I'm on the run. I'm at work. You know, I'm working all these hours trying to take care of the kids, activities. You know, and I think dating is the biggest part. So don't think that dating stops when you get married. It don't. You got to keep going, or it will fail, or your marriage will fail, or your relationship will fail. You still got to keep going.
Can I just say this? I'm really passionate about this, about affection or the nice guy, because you can compartmentalize yourself and compare yourself to what the typical nice guy do, whether it's the dates, the wine and dine, I'll give you the sun, moon, and stars. Because in all actuality, a lot of the nice guys, the self-proclaimed nice guys, are the biggest a-holes. Because if a woman rejects or don't want the nice guy, they will then try to manipulate her. Well, you 403, or you just want the bad guys, because that woman may not be interested in you. It doesn't mean she may not be interested in a nice guy. It could just be she just not rocking with you. So I'm very sensitive about the nice guys, the good girls, the perfect guy, because it's all subjective.
When did
Nah,
that
you
creep
gotta have
into
a little
our requirements though? Like when did that become, like who was it, a celebrity that came through and just blew all of our minds away about like they encompassed everything? I don't know when the perfect person like what became a thing to get. Even Jay-Z and Beyonce, they're far from the perfect couple. When they first got together, people was, they had their eyebrows raised at their relationship. Ciara and Russell Wilson both have previous relationships that keep them from being perfect. So I just wonder, like, when did this happen, or who brought it in to where everyone's like, I want to be that, and it's still being that to this day?
Social media, G. Like
Social media.
we don't post our downsides on social media. We
I
only
just
post
said
the
that. That was my
ups. We
point
only
earlier.
post the
It's
bright,
Sports
happy
Center.
parts. Couple goals, man. We're all the trips. We're not posting when we having fights or when the kids are annoying us or when we just woke up and we're looking crazy. Like we post when we look the best, in the best lighting, the best moment, the best food, the best environment, whatever the case may be. It's never, the kids acting crazy. They're all cleaned up, proper, and smiling, not acting the fool, playing in the dirt. Like, you don't talk
And
about
that's
those.
what
So it's
that's
really
my
not
that's my
anyone
point.
couple. It's really
I
like
mean,
the
some
people.
people, while some people
That was
say
my
it's like
point.
social media is always, because when Obama was president, I feel like everybody was like, I'm looking for my Michelle. So I don't think it's always social media. It's just like people on the public eye that have like a cookie cutter image, and people want that. So I think social media has heightened it. It's made it in our face every day. But even before that, there were still like couples that relationships similar to theirs.
I just
And I
think people
think
had a bigger grasp on reality. Like people still separated themselves from, common folks to celebrities. Like we understand that those are celebrities, and we also understand that we're regular people. But a lot of times now, regular people are trying to feel like they have to move like celebrities, or they aspire to be like the celebrity lifestyle, not realizing that they're a part of that percentile for a reason, and not everybody can be part of that percentile. And
I
if you
think
keep
I think
striving to be a part of that, you'll go crazy.
I think Obama and Michelle were a point in time where people were like, "Oh, this is couple goals. This is where I want to be." But the everyday, the everything is instantaneous, right? The everyday you see is the trips, is the people showering. This is not the celebrities anymore. Social media is everywhere. So you see your friend down the street dating some type of car cracking dude that's taking her on trips and doing all this illegal stuff and doing all this stuff showing her, and that's the image that people see. So I think social media is a direct impact of it. I think it has a big part of it. I talk to my wife about this all the time. Like without that, you don't, back in the day when we were 21, 22, you didn't see that. You still had like house phones. You had to call a person in a house phone. You couldn't see what they was doing every 5 seconds. You have to know, I don't know what this person is right now, but now you can see what people are, see what they're doing. You got people that get paid to highlight their entire day, their life, their kids, and everything. So it's just hard to say that, the Michelle and Obama thing, that's a good point. It was a moment in time where people were like, first black president, beautiful black wife from South Side. That's big. South Side Chicago. That's big. But the overall picture, you see that every day of what people do, how they moving, how they going, and that's my point I made to Anton earlier when he said, it doesn't matter. I think it shouldn't matter, but in the everyday, if you're looking at it every day, especially if you're in media, it's in the forefront of your brain. You always don't look at it like, well, I probably should be doing this. I want to date this person. That's just
Yeah, but this was happening way before social media, bro.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. I think the first visualization of perfection, I think for a kid, you had the Cosby Show. You didn't see a TV show
great.
with,
I was
you
going.
know,
I
a
was going to say that.
family house.
Cosby Show.
But is Bill Cosby of the Huxtables, is he perfection today? Like
But
he,
but
as
hold
dad,
on.
is the guy that we're looking for, right? Or he's not.
I'll do you one better. We all grew up with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air one way or another, right? Like it's been countless examples of things that's happened just from a media perspective of what people would feel like is family goals or couple goals or all of this other type of stuff. And so this is not just a social media thing. I think that this has always happened throughout society, and even before, even without the TV or whatever. Like we knew who was goals that was happening out in society, and the people that we know. Like all of us can reference somebody that we know personally or people that we've seen that is like, yo, that's dope. We want to rock with that. Even outside of social media, this has always been around.
But I think the difference between, I guess, the TV shows like Fresh Prince growing up is that they showed the flaws and all too. They didn't just show the happy times. Like they were getting into a
Exactly.
lot of crazy
And who's
situations.
marriage? Where
Not
did they show
necessarily the marriage, but like the family dynamic. It wasn't as simple as y'all are just a perfect family. Like there was a bunch of arguments and a bunch of like issues. Like a lot of people can relate to that because it necessarily wasn't just perfect. They had their own individual problems going on and issues, and they still came together as a family at the end of the day. And I think that's why a lot of people resonated with
The
that.
only flaw that was in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and that family was the fact that they adopted a kid that was from the streets. The family was always shown to be perfect before Will came into the house. If anything, it showed the dysfunction of certain environments and how it affected what is supposed to be, the ideal family situation.
Well, y'all lucky. Y'all bougie as hell because I couldn't relate to none of that bullshit. I had to go back to good times.
I,
Ah, dang.
I don't know the relation to it. I never grew up thinking like, oh, I want to be the Fresh Prince. No, like I want to see it. You thinking about like as far as like his attire, yeah, some of his shoes are dope as hell. Some of his jerseys, like in the '90s, you like, man, what he wearing is fresh. But as far as family aspect, I mean, maybe I was too young to dream of having a family aspect like that. But for me, my point was the social media things. That's the everyday highlights of someone's life. We're not talking about a TV show that comes on every Wednesday. We're not talking about those. Like I agree. I agree with back in the day we still had those things that gave us the idea. Same thing with Cosby, like this big giant family living in a big house. He's a successful black man raising all these kids. Yeah, that's cool. But this is just my opinion or the way I grew up. I didn't grow up idolizing like, oh, this is gold. That was never my goal.
I say this though, Chris, even though it's true that social media does play a huge part, we still can't use that as an excuse to not master and command our own minds and the difference between
never say it was an excuse. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's an excuse. I think it's just there. It's always gonna be an aspect that's there.
Any issues because we're in a social media era. It's social media's fault where we have control over what we see, what we digest. I don't even watch TV. I don't know what's going on with Russia and Ukraine until somebody brings it up because we have master command what we digest in the life that we want to live. So I challenge people to not use that also as an excuse to why relationships in their life are not successful.
That's fair. That's fair. I agree, but
I definitely think in with social media you do have that the grass is greener on the other side, like because you can see it now versus you didn't know what was going on in your neighbor's house next door, but now they're posting it. You're like, oh, they just went on a trip. I'm not going on.
I have a 12-year-old. I got a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they on YouTube Kids, and they on Roblox and all that. I want them to stay kids for as long as they possibly can. And that's my entire goal. So I can't, as much as I say I'm a very strict dad, but as much as I say don't do this, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. I got a 17-year-old nephew who I pretty much raised, and he is always on social media, Snapchat, and it's tough to monitor what they're gonna do. He's a good kid, but he's gonna do what he's gonna do. I can do my best to raise him the right way, but he grew up in this area of all social media. I tell him this all the time. Everything is just direct access to you. You don't have to. You want a girl number? You just go through Snapchat. You just send her a message on Instagram. You ain't got to fight. What you gonna get a phone number for? Like you don't really need any information from her. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that. And I think for the younger generation, I think for me, I often challenge them like, look, I want you to go a day without doing this. Go a day without doing that. It's hard to say when you grew up that way. It's easy for us because we're all grown. Some of us are married. Some of us have not been outside of it. But to be raised directly in it, it's an entirely different situation. We can comment, we can say like what we should do, how we gonna raise them, but gotta fight for the life that's not shown, behind the camera, so to speak.
Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna get Definite G in here real quick. What's going on, brother? What you got for us? Welcome to the show.
You're on mute.
Go ahead, G.
You're on mute.
I think you're trying to figure it out based off this. Oh,
damn.
But I think there was a culture shift. I think there was a culture shift in which they took healthy, functioning relationships and just like downgraded them, and they just blew up dysfunctional relationships and made that look like that's what you want to be a part of. I mean, I think, we still should monitor what we're digesting, but I think it was a shift, like whether it be Ike and Tina, whether it be Bobby and Whitney, whether it be, it's like they pushed forward dysfunctional relationships. Like, oh, I gotta have that. Like Party Next Door, he has a song called The Savage Anthem about him and I forgot the female artist that he was dating. But, you listen to that and you like, oh, this dude, damn, he did all of that to her. That's not how a relationship should go. You know what I mean? But that's what's being pushed. Like dysfunction. If you're waking up every morning, going to work, paying your bills, taking care of your kids, that is boring. That is deemed as, I might have to do this for the next 40 years. You know what I mean? But that's life, yo. You know what I mean? That's not saying that you can't have some Sports Center highlights for the gram sprinkled in there, but the large percentage of that is life.
Definite G, what's going on, man? We brought you back in. Can you hear us?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
All right. Well, yeah, this is just more proof on why women don't know what the hell they want. Like they say one thing yet do another. But really what helped me to understand this, concept, or at least this understanding of like manosphere and red pill stuff, was also the Bible helped me out. And I'm not going to make this a whole Bible thing, but I'm just going to use it as an example. Since Adam was the first one created, and God told him to, name all the animals and go around the world and cultivate the land. He had all of the knowledge and understanding of what he's supposed to be as a man and how he's supposed to govern the earth. it wasn't until, and it's kind of estimated, it's not really, you know, a guarantee, that it was a few hundred years after that Eve came into the picture, after he was close, or at least, you know, done with his assignment. So right then and there shows that women, they can't really depict or really describe what a real man is, because that's not their design, and that's not, they don't have the you know, requisite understanding with that type of disparity in time right there. So how does it go tie into the perfect man? Women keep saying that they want this nice guy. They're thinking logically. I mean, it would make sense, right? You know, placate to her emotions, make her feel good, and then she'll love you, right? But for some odd reason, those women will disrespect those dudes. They will cheat on him, and then they'll get bored with him very quickly. But the guy who, you know, don't give a fuck, the guy who does his own thing, he cultivates his own life and does, you know, lives his life on his own terms. Those are the types of dudes she seeks after. I mean, those based on her actions. So actually, it really begs the question, who's the real perfect man here? Who's really the perfect man? The guy who placates to her, who supplicates to her emotions, or the guy who lives his life on his own terms? He, you know, sticks true to what he believes in, regardless of how she feels about it. So who's really the perfect man in the scenarios?
Well, definitely, I'll answer that question maybe with another question. Who do you think should be setting that definition on, you know, what the perfect man even is? You know, is that society and we're all to agree, and then women are supposed to get on that program? Or is it women that set that up and then we men are supposed to get on that program? Because it seems like the definition is so vague that there's all these men doing all these various levels of perfection, but then women can't agree on which path was the right path. So it's kind of tough to even say what's perfect and what's not. It seems all, you know, subjective on who you're talking to. So like, who is really even setting the definition for that? Who's setting the parameters for that? And then once it's set, who is it on to really follow that? Because if you want a bad boy, that means that they're not adhering to those attributes. But then if they're not adhering to those attributes, then they're really not the perfect person. So where do you square all that?
Well, you would have to, it's not necessarily the society will have to dictate that, because women want the alpha in the room, you know, if we're going to use those terms. It's really, it's really, because it has to, it's more about nature than actually trying to understand how men and women naturally are supposed to function first. We have to get that understanding first, then build a society around that, instead of trying to have the society conform, or at least have people conform to the society. Because as we're seeing right now in America, it's not working. You know, the women can do whatever they want and get a golden parachute at the end of the day, but the men have to eat all of the crap, you know, you know, on a day-to-day basis. So it really comes down to understanding what the man and the woman is first. We have to come to
the only pushback I got. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, what were you gonna say?
Sorry, I was saying the only pushback I have back on the women can do whatever they want and they get a golden parachute. I don't believe that to be true. I believe that they can do whatever they want, but I don't think they're getting the outcomes that they want at the end of the day. That's why we have a lot of older women that are sad and angry and asking where all the good men at. And so they don't get that golden parachute by doing whatever they want. They think they will because they've been told they will, but in reality, we've come to realize that they haven't. And that's why a lot of them are upset, because they were told a lie.
Well, Shane and Amber,
yes,
what are y'all thoughts?
Huh?
Kayla, what are y'all thoughts, you know, to what G is saying?
Regarding what G said, because I know you started off kind of choosing violence, women don't know what they want. The thing is, I'm trying to understand, it's like the question, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? For example, you said how a woman says what she wants and then the man caters to what she wants. Are you blaming the woman for knowing what she wants and the man dissolving his own authenticity and his own needs to give the woman what she wants? So isn't it on the man to stand up for what he wants, set the tone for his household and his life, and choose another woman that's going to follow his program? Versus, it sounds like blaming the woman for wanting what she wants, the man catering, you know, morphing to her needs, and then shit is not working. I guess I'm confused with your stance, what you were saying when you was also referencing the Bible.
Well, no, I'm not. Well, it comes down to her upbringing first, because women who were raised by a father or a healthy household, they tend to have a better perspective with the men that they want. Their words tend to be a little bit more consistent, a little bit more, but not completely true,
That
but
is
not completely
wrong
still.
in every way of the word. Wrong, wrong,
Well, let
wrong.
me let me. Can I finish, Anton? Can I finish?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry.
Because her upbringing, especially if she's raised by a strong father, will give her a better idea of what the man that she should be going for. But at the same time, she's still a woman at the end of the day. If a man still placates to a woman and he's not getting the results that he wants, then that is his fault, because he's not really actually being true to again himself and actually trying to get a return on his investment of what he's trying to build in his family. So that's kind of, so it's more about how it's more ignorance on both sides. If you kind of if that's my answer on that.
Amber, he cleared that up for you. Shayna, and welcome Reva TV. We'd love to get y'all thoughts on just what Definite G was saying here. Shayna, look like you're itching. Reva TV, feel free to jump in for sure.
Well, I'm sorry. I know I joined so late, so I don't know what he just said. So I want to let everybody. I was coming in at the top of the initial topic, but I can let whoever did hear what he said go, and then I'll just.
Okay.
What is these?
So what I'm really trying to convey.
You wanted to respond.
What is these golden parachutes that y'all keep referencing? Who out here giving out golden parachutes?
The government maybe is the implication that like society won't let, even though it may be some kind of way right now, you figure society won't let women en masse be homeless. I just can't imagine that
it's not a golden parachute. That's just like, we want to make sure you're not poverty stricken completely. That's not a golden parachute.
Let me elaborate. Let me elaborate when I say golden parachute. See, women obviously Sway was touching on the emotional aspect, because again, women don't want to be alone. Women want a man by their side. At the same time, they get a safety net if they want to dip out or they couldn't, quote unquote, find the man that they really wanted. So they get a complete restart in a way, and also a few other benefits. So they can kind of move into a different situation, but at a better stance. But a man has to eat that situation and then lick his wounds and then continue on. That's what I said about golden parachute. Okay, it might not be as fulfilling because she's alone. At the same time, she gets to start anew without very much repercussions to her actions.
Like what? Like, bro, chicks that get divorced, they're in a much more dire financial state than chicks that stay married. What are you talking about? Like, that's wrong. All you got to do is look it up, bro. Look up the stats. Like, listen, child support is not a golden parachute. That's broke nigga shit. Like, real talk. I mean,
but yet they use it as a weapon.
Wait.
For the man.
You can't take care. No, bro, it's not a weapon. Look, you're supposed to take care of your kids.
That's their job.
Now, if we saying that women are weaponizing kids against men, that's a completely different conversation. But you're supposed to financially support your kids. All right. We all know that family court is not what it's supposed to be, and it's financially incentive. We get that. But in a general sense, let's be clear. Most people that's getting divorced, they're not balling like that anyway. So let's not lick our wounds. Secondly, you can go on and do what you want to do too, right? You can pick up the pieces and continue to move on with your life and get your bag up and so on and so forth. Why is this narrative being painted like men are victims? Where did you get that from?
I mean, I always
I'm not
like
saying that
the court system, like society, and the various supremacies that go on, and like that.
Custody battles.
Men are not the beneficiaries
like custody battles and stuff like that. Like how do they
they
get their kids or see their kids or their kids being used against them, or even men who don't have a bag. I know a young cat around my age, he's in the military and it cost him $30,000 just in divorce, like legal fees. Like, and he's broke now after his marriage. He didn't have a lot of money. It still cost him 30 racks.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's the golden parachute for women?
Oh, I didn't say there was a golden parachute. I was just saying you were saying the victim, like men feeling like they're victims in this. I said I don't think women necessarily get a golden parachute either.
But that's
but at the end of the day, you still have to pick up the pieces and move on, though, man. You can't just sit there and fold in a fetal position.
Yeah, that's
you got to move on, man. You can't don't do that. You gonna just sit there and die? The hell with that shit.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I meant by pick up the pieces. Like he has to move on. He has to pick himself up, get himself together, and then move on with his life. That's what I meant.
So the way you coming off, man, like he's gonna just go in the corner and cry all day.
Don't the women have to pick up the pieces as well? They don't come out of a relationship unscathed.
Women often at times come out much broker at the end of the day than men do when divorces happen. That's a fact. So what are you talking about?
I think he's just looking at the financial part. He's not looking at the mental part.
Are we talking about divorce, like a marriage, or just a breakup in a relationship?
Part. Women that they got to get on welfare, whatever. They are in a much more dire financial state than the men after they leave them. That is a fact, bro. That is not even something that I'm coming up with based off of anecdotal experience. That is a fact.
I think in normal situations, yeah, that's a fact. We're not talking about like celebrities getting divorced with a whole lot of money and they're able to toss money around.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. What are we talking about? All of this golden.
There are. I will say there are isolated situations, and I know people are a part of it. That child support has completely fucked them, and they were doing what they were supposed to do. So it's not completely always broke nigga shit. I know some rich niggas that got in bogus situations with child support just because they got divorced. So I can't fully agree with that.
What they paying? What they paying a month? What these rich niggas that paying a month?
You said what rich niggas I know paying a month?
Yeah, what they paying a month in child support?
So it may not be your version of rich nigga, but
they pay about $5 to $7 a month. No. We're not gonna modify the words.
I'm not modifying anything. I said they're paying $5,000 to $7,000 a month. That's a lot for what they.
Dudes that's paying $5,000 to $7,000. Dudes that's paying $90,000 a year in child support.
I repeat, I know dudes that pay $5,000 to $7,000 a month in child support. Yes, I do.
Bro, Rick Ross don't even pay that.
You said who?
Rick Ross don't even pay that.
I don't know
Dr.
what.
Dre's
I don't do Rick Ross financial, so I don't know.
Well, maybe not in child support, but.
What do you mean? It was public. He ain't even paying that. What kind of money is these dudes getting? That because wait, hold on. Because first you qualify it by saying, well, no, maybe not by your standards. And then you said
anything. You said what rich nigga? So I was quote unquote before I say rich nigga. I didn't want you to kind of supersede that thought and say like I'm telling you that the court system does fuck certain people that take care of their kids and they step to pay child support. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
I don't know too much about child support, but I do know that there's a formula. So I mean, if you make a lot of money, they throw your income number into.
And it doesn't matter if you're still taking care of your kid, regardless. Yeah,
I saw a video where I think a guy was making like 120, and they went back. He was originally paying I think $700 in child support, and then he started making more money, and it went up to like $2,100 a month.
Yes, and they still take care of his kid, get his kid, do what he's supposed to do, and of course the kid lives with their parents, but they don't live with them, but they still take care of them. Are still great fathers in their lives. So there's some people that get fucked. So I don't think it's all broke nigga shit. I think that's a terrible term to use in that analogy.
But again, y'all like to use, and it's funny because
I don't know who y'all is, but I think it's a bad term to use.
Wait. Hold on, because you said women, definite G, right? You said women are getting these golden parachutes, and then they'll come and say, well, the average black man only makes $40,000 to $45,000 a year, right? And then we'll use more anecdotal experience to say, okay, well, yeah, I know some rich niggas is getting bent over. Cool, I'm with that, Chris. I feel you, bro. It happens. Absolutely. I think that family court is wrong. But the overwhelming majority of these dudes is not giving out golden parachutes. When we talk about the majority, we don't talk about minority. The majority of dudes is not giving out golden parachutes. A. B. That's child support. Most of the time when we talking about it, we talking about just a divorce in a general sense. So as it relates to like spousal support, come on, man. Are we gonna be real about this?
Well, the fortunate thing, there is an end game on child support. It don't last forever. So you got to get up and get out and move on,
I
man. You
just
can't
love how
sit
it's
there
like isolated
and
situations. Like it
fold
can't be.
and
Maybe our
cry.
group here.
That's funny.
Maybe our group
And
here
move
isn't
on.
the best to speak on it. I don't think any of us here are paying child support. Luckily for us, for us fathers, I guess.
It's
So
real easy to say when we don't do
we
it.
just don't have no
But
experience in that.
so
Okay, good.
to
Oh, no,
definite
I can
G.
say I've done it before. I had to do it before, and I
Okay.
didn't like it, but it happened. But I had to get up and get out and move on. If that means I got to get a second job to do what I got to do, I had to do it. But that's part of life. It's the consequence I had to accept because of the decisions I made. So
Yeah,
Well,
I
to
think
hear
regardless if you're talking about the majority or whatever it is, there are some people. I don't think child support is broke nigga shit. I don't
Well,
think it
here's
is.
the solution. I got a solution for y'all because I know we all always like to talk about the problem. We don't really get to the solution. Definite G. If you scared of women, don't put your dick in them.
I never
Cool.
said I was scared of women, Anton. I never
Terrible.
said that.
Terrible.
I never said that.
I said if you're scared of women or you're
Which I'm
scared of
not.
the system, you speak like it. But okay, all right. If men are let me not use you. I'm sorry. If men are scared of women, if you're scared
all
of
them out, Anton.
sport, if you're scared of the marriage system, if you don't believe in prenups or none of that, remove yourself. It's simple. It's simple. I don't understand where the whining coming from, yo. If you don't like it, don't participate. What are we talking about?
Or date men.
Okay, so Anton,
Yeah,
I'm
get
not
your get your
whining,
Hold on
but
now.
just
Hold on
oh
now.
no, wait, no. Let me finish.
or get you a
I'm
boy
not
toy.
whining.
Get a
I'm
boyfriend if
not
you don't like
whining
that.
at all.
You
What
got
I'm
damage
saying
done,
is
right?
that those are factors we need to take into consideration when dealing with the system that we're in. That's what I'm saying. I didn't want to make this a whole child support thing. I was just talking about the perfect man, the perfect man, just sticking
What?
to the main topic. At the same time, like, the part of the reason why that men, like, the relationships are kind of trash is because of the system. But, still going back to the main topic, because we kind of got off topic. Clearly women don't know what they want, and men are ignorant of what women really want. Watch her actions, don't really listen to her words, and just figure out the man that you're supposed to be, and then make sure that the woman is going to be a part of your program. That's really the point I want to make.
honestly believe that most men, probably 2030, they just gonna get them some boyfriends. I believe that they're gonna get them some boyfriends.
Anton, come on, man. Stop that. Don't do that.
Hold on.
Come on, man.
I mean, yeah,
Come on,
to
man.
each their
Come on,
own. I
bring it
mean,
down.
yeah,
Come
to
on, bring
each
it
their
down,
own,
man.
Anton. I mean, like,
Let them live,
but
dog.
I think that they're gonna get them, because listen, I don't believe that there is a solution for people that's just mad and raised that don't like that don't like the system. Listen, I get it. Y'all don't like the system. Go get y'all some boyfriends, man.
The T community
Oh, so you
support too,
you saying
Anton.
be okay with whatever they throw at you and just go get a boyfriend. I'm just
You ain't gotta worry
making sure I
about it.
understand it.
Man, come on, man.
Let's
Can
get
we hear
the
some
ladies in.
maybe River or Shayna or Amber? Can we hear what y'all got to say
Yeah,
on
let's
this?
get the ladies in.
Please.
Let's see what y'all got to say on this. 'cause we've
Reva,
been talking.
we didn't mean for it to get here, but here we are.
Here we are. Here we are.
Oh man.
Well, to what Anton just said, I feel like that is gonna start happening a lot more often. I mean, and women as well. As much as there's so much divide where women are saying like, oh, men are so this and men are so that. Like, what other options are gonna happen? Like, what other solutions? If you don't want to be a part of the dating game, if you don't want to get on a man's page, if you don't want to be able to find out how to make the relationships or the situations work, unfortunately it is going to come to that. And I mean, I know it's like in a joking manner, but it's really, really true. People that get so I don't even know the word to use, but people who just like are so narrow-minded in the conversations that we have, and they like take it all the way, like, oh yeah, all women, don't trust them at all, we hate them all. It's like, okay, so what? But at the end of the day, we're trying to make these relationships work. So if you are so strong-minded on one side, not willing to see the other person's side, or not willing to have open-ended conversations, then I mean, I think Like I said, it's a joke, but it's not a joke.
So what are y'all saying? We're gonna have a bunch of odd couples and the Golden Girls?
Yeah, man.
Is that what we're gonna have?
I mean,
You know what the problem is, Reva?
God
I
damn.
don't understand how guys say things or complain about all women. Fam, you got to get it right fucking once. Do your effective vetting. Figure out what the vibes is. Get you a prenup if you already balling. If you ain't got shit, then you ain't got to worry about leaving shit. Like I talked to the lead attorney. He said that prenups is ironclad. If you do it A, B, and C, he gave you the blueprint. What more do y'all want?
But see, and that's another point that I was gonna say too. You know, it's so I understand what Definite G was trying to say, you know, but we're using celebrity situations, or we're using people who are financially well off, because as I think Christopher said, you know, they do go off of your paycheck, right? So they do know how much money you make. The more you make, the more they're gonna take. Okay, we know that. But in regular situations, people just walk away. More times than not, they don't have any assets together. It's not like they have a home together. You know, they don't have, she ain't coming with much. You know, they work in paycheck to paycheck to try to just survive because living is just expensive. So I don't personally, I feel like what Anton says is valid based off of a lot of the people around us don't have that kind of, they don't have a certain amount of finances. So when we talk about prenup and we talk about this and we talk about that, I mean, yes, if you have a child with somebody and you guys are married, when you guys get divorced, child support is going to be a part of the conversation. And it's actually a better conversation when you're getting divorced based off of certain aspects, because you guys can both speak on it because you're both, you know, parents. However, I know that there is some situations where if a woman already has children and you guys are getting divorced, you might have to pay child support for those other children as well. So there's different aspects, but I think for the normal conversation, people who just get divorced.
So I will say this, and I don't agree with Anton's analogy as far as like you got to get it right once. That's bullshit. Because I know a lot of people that thought they got it right once, it didn't work, and the system fucked them. So let's just keep it real. Like, you don't got to get it right once. This ain't no perfect world. We can easily say that as married men. We've been married for a long time. Our relationship works. So it's very easy for us to say, you know what, you only got to get it right once. No, that shit does not exist. I don't think all women are bad. I think some situations fuck some people. I think that happens. I think that happens everywhere you are, and that's what I agree with my man point. But it's to say a sense that two things, that one, child support is for broke nigga shit, and two, you gotta get it right once. I think that's bullshit, because people try to get it right, it doesn't get right, and they're gonna get fucked in the end.
No, that doesn't. But hold on, but that doesn't discredit. That doesn't discredit. That doesn't discredit the fact. Hold on. That doesn't discredit to the fact that you have to get it right once, though. That still doesn't, just because they thought they got it right doesn't mean you know what I mean. That doesn't discredit to the fact what Anton said, that you still only have to get it right once. That doesn't, just because they thought.
Yeah, the thing is, I agree with Anton.
Saying shit happens.
Yeah.
So you have to.
The thing is, I agree with Anton that the man has to do the proper vetting. I agree with that. At the same time, don't be ignorant of the system that we're living in. Like, you have to keep that in mind when dealing with women. I'm not scared at all. At the same time, that's the factor you have to consider when you're getting into a relationship in America. So that's all it is. Just a factor.
Also,
it's not really debilitating.
Okay, but
you are different, G. You haven't realized that yet?
I guess they can't listen. That's why people can't wait for me to get divorced. They can't wait for the situation to happen, because they want to say, "I told you so." But until then,
yeah, exactly, Anton. Exactly.
The reason why I say until then is because I want them to spend their whole life waiting on it. Wait on it.
If anyone has ever seen Rita and how y'all interact, I don't think they would keep that same thought, because it's honestly, I don't even believe that's even possible, because the leading cause of divorce is actually filing for divorce. And I don't think either one of you are going to that courthouse to file for divorce.
I wouldn't wish divorce on anybody, so I'm not sure who would. I don't know who want that. As far as like
divorce. It don't even matter.
Good, great.
But the point
I'm never get divorced either.
Listen, the point that I'm making is that I control the narrative. I don't care about what women think. I don't care about what happens at large in society. Yes, if they can point to the divorce statistics and say, oh man, 50% or whatever, and women file 70 to 80% of the time, don't matter. I'm shooting 100 from 100. 100 for 100 in my life. And the people that's around me are shooting 100 for 100. we don't lose, we don't get divorced, we don't lose our stuff, we don't get taken to the cleaners and the child support. The thing that y'all should be asking yourself is, how can I be successfully married instead of having all of these issues and problems every single day and then complaining about women? Or you can keep being in the chamber and trying to figure it out. In the meantime, we're gonna keep shooting 100 for 100, and we don't miss ever.
Well, the thing about it is,
that's the point I wanted to make as well.
That's the point. Yeah,
Jason.
play to win, not play not to lose. That's the mindset that men should have. Like, play to win, not play not to lose. Yeah, men should have that mentality, and I agree with you 100%, Anton. You know,
so
it's just the situation that we're in.
Couple goes into.
Let Shannon go ahead. Wait, hold on. Let Shannon get in. Let Shannon get in. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's do some ladies.
So the point I wanted to make, because definitely you came on originally and you said women don't know what they want. So I would say that you're not 100% wrong with that, but a lot of people will say also marriage is a career. I've heard that being said, but with a career, usually you educate yourself. But how many people are educating themselves on relationships, how to have a successful, effective relationship? That, I mean, how many people can say they're reading books, they're learning what men want, how to please their husband, how can I make this marriage work, what can I do, and how many people actually take the time to delve into their person, like, what can I do to make sure you're happy, what can we do together to grow, instead of just like, well, this is what I want, he's not doing it, I'm not happy, like, why aren't those conversations being had in relationships? Why is divorce a question? Why isn't it like, what can we do to make this work, versus, okay, it's not working, let's part ways? So I think with a career, you're not just gonna take all the time that you invest in your career and just walk away. You're gonna work at it. You're gonna be like, okay, I need to get better, I need to take courses, I need to continue my credits and learn more about my field. But people aren't doing that in relationships, they're just walking away. I call the marriages of today like trial marriages. They're like, okay, this one didn't work, let me try my next one. This one didn't work, okay, now I went on the third.
Which is why, to my point, I was trying to.
Are you asking me the question?
Understand what? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well,
go ahead.
Are you talking to Definite G?
Well,
my thing is, man, as long as don't make it an option, then it won't happen. If you don't make it an option, don't make it an option. That shouldn't even be on the table.
Yeah,
if that's what we're doing, it's not even an option. We're gonna get through this. If that means we're gonna have to be in the same bed, mad as hell at each other, fine. Get over it.
Exactly.
Let's talk.
Exactly.
But don't make it an option.
That's real.
You don't have to worry about that,
real life. Yeah.
And I can say that I came from a 2-parent home. My parents were married for 38 years until my father recently passed away. But I saw them work it out. They didn't have divorce on the mind. If they had an argument, they talked it out, they worked it out, they tried to make it work. They built together from, I never even saw them argue. They had conversations. They're like, okay, this isn't working, how can we make this work? So to your point, you said women don't know what they want. I think it is easier to know what you want when you see it done correctly. And which, to the overall point, which is nice to see couples like Russell Williams and Ciara, couples that are trying to make it work, and then you have that visual in front of you. You're like, oh, okay, this is what it looks like. This is kind of what I can almost like parallel.
I gave him the blueprint from somebody that's regular. I give them the blueprint every day.
And I agree with that. I don't disagree with your relationship, your marriage. I think it's beautiful. I think more people should be like that. I love, you actually remind me of the way my father used to speak, Anton. So I don't disagree with a lot of the things that you say. But I also believe it. But I think you take the time to educate people. And I think that's what's most important.
So Amber, let me ask you a question. Macro perspective, is this something that you think is being taught or not being taught to our children now in terms of perfection and having the wrong expectations? And maybe Chris, to you too. I know you said you had a 12-year-old. Do you think that the pop culture and society is sending different messages to younger people than maybe what we got? I feel like when we were growing up, Disney movies always had a Prince Charming, always had a perfectly sized woman, you know what I mean? And nowadays, when you see some pop culture that's geared towards children, it's very much not that. There's rarely a Prince Charming anymore, and so I'm just curious if you guys think that the messages are being different and this is more of a phase, or if it's just something that'll be different, going forward.
I'm glad you you know how we was talking about the Cosby shows and how it kind of all the idea of a perfect Black family, the nucleus family. But as time went on, then what happened? You went from a different world, then to living single, then to girlfriends. Then you get Madame Noir, the high power, successful single Black woman. Because if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't be having on the show talking as we speak. We're literally feeding into the narrative that mass media has pumped into us. Leading to now, my son is 13 and he's watching Roblox, and you have bisexual characters, and he's showing me this, and we have to have these tough conversations. Or his best friend now, is she says she's bisexual, my son doesn't know if he's bisexual or not, because what they see on social media on Nick Jr., you see the flag. There's no way of getting around this.
Or like the new Proud Family release had some stuff going on in that too. So
if you reboots, even in Bel Air or Sex and the City, they have to address LGBTQ. They got to address, transgender. They got to address hashtags and social media. They have to address Black Lives Matter. They have to address everything to appease, so there won't be no conflict or get canceled. And so as a parent, and I agree with Chris, like, I just want my son to be a kid. He still has no social media. I'm fighting with the games. I'm fighting with the Xbox. We try to go to the gym. I just want my son to be a kid, because of this type of narrative that's being pumped into us, which is propaganda.
What's crazy, real quick. What's crazy, like what you're saying on Facebook. You know how Facebook has those mini games, or where will Reva be in 2023, or what I'm talking about. My homeboy did one of those, man, and it showed him with a guy. He's a heterosexual male. In 2023, Facebook has him being married to a guy. It showed him and a guy. I'm like, fam, what is going on here?
It's 2022,
like it's suggesting homosexuality. The mini game said in 2023, you know what? You like guys now. Try it out.
And just to go to Kyle's point, let me tell you something. Like, to be real, I wasn't raised in no 2-parent household. My father's a fucking Rolling Stone. He got kids all over the place. I probably got brothers and sisters I ain't even met yet. But when I got married, and I said this is gonna be the end all be all for me. Whether we go through shit financially, emotionally, whatever it is, we're gonna work through it. So when God blessed me with 2 sons, I said, you know what? I'm gonna try my best to raise my sons the old-fashioned way. Show ass up, clean up, take out the garbage, do this. And I tried to instill that with them. Honestly, I'm not, when I talk about social media, I have a direct effect, but it's not affecting shit I do. It's not, because I take that phone and throw it in the ocean, or I take that tablet and break it. I've broken a tablet before, because it's like, in my mind, like, I was raised by a single mom. She was a nurse. She was a travel nurse, and she was a hospice nurse. She wasn't ever at home. Raised by my grandmother. My grandmother was old school Mississippi lady. She would beat your ass if you didn't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and rake them leaves. So it's like, that's what's in my mind. I was raised by a man. So it's like, when I have these things going on with my sons, like, I'm learning everything from scratch. I got a 12-year-old, an 8-year-old. I won't let social media like ruin them. I won't let them get so encompassed of what they see. They think that's real life. Same thing with my nephew. I'm not gonna let him think that just because he see little baby and them taking these dumbass pictures with money holding like this, that's what you're supposed to get instantaneous. You ain't got to work for shit. Like, no, that's just not how it goes. It's not how it's gonna be in my household. So to that, you actually, as a parent, you'll fight against social media. If you really in your kid's life, you fighting against it every day. You battling that shit. And it's like, for me, they're not gonna win. They're not gonna win. They're not gonna win. I saw my 8-year-old son watch some stuff and have some cursing. And the same thing with my man Jay just mentioned. It was like, oh, are you gay? Or I'm like, what? I'm like, turn it off. Nah, he's like, oh, it was funny. Now, that ain't funny. You said who?
You gotta watch that G word.
Well, the thing about it is, man, you got to have conversations with your kids every day, man. You have to engage yourself, involve yourself, meddle, snoop, whatever you want to call it, man. There ain't no privacy with me. Shit, that door is just a formality. Because I'm in on everything. But you have to be, because if not, you're gonna let these streets raise your kids. You in trouble. You're gonna be talking his ass through a glass.
And I know the conversation around being the perfect parent has definitely evolved in the last 10 years. I mean, the things that, are we supposed to be our kids' friend? Or are we our kids' guide? Are we their monitor? Are we their disciplinarian? You know what I mean? And so to Hink's point, you definitely got to be involved and meddle a lot. But again, when these conversations come up, in the vetting process that maybe Shayna was referring to earlier, I imagine that in the dating world, I mean, maybe I don't know, but in the dating world, parenting is a conversation that comes up too. And I feel like in today's age, one side might not think that a person in Roblox being bisexual is an issue, or them having Michael and Proud Family, kind of look like a woman. And one of the characters, or one of the plot lines, was that they were watching a boy on.
Did he freeze?
Yeah, I think he might have froze.
I think Cal kind of froze. Yeah.
And he was out there hitting on the point, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know nothing about this new Proud Family. I guess I'm glad I don't. I ain't got to worry
No,
about that.
I've heard about it, but again, you can only censor so many stuff your kids watch. They're gonna watch on their own. It's at the point where my 12-year-old son, he can stay at home by himself, or we go on a date night. Stay at home for a couple hours. He's responsible, but at the same time, I don't know. I have to instill at him to not watch this certain stuff when I'm not around. You gotta train your kids. Now, mind you, training with discipline. Like, don't watch that on my. It's gonna be trouble when you get home. But at the same time, like, that's what you have to kind of build. So I think, like, even in dating, like, people, you want to have those conversations up front, but when you're dating a man dating a woman dating a man, you know what kind of values they grew up with. Like, my wife knew that I didn't grow up with a dad, so she knew, like, I told her straight up, some things gonna be new for me because I got 2 boys. So it's like, there wasn't no man around me raising me, telling me do this, do that. I had older brothers, thank God. I had some good people around me, but I didn't have a direct father in the house. You know what I mean? So I think in dating, that's a big part of it. Like, people get divorced largely because of financial reasons and because of children. That's some of the 2 main reasons people get divorced. And when that happens and they can't deal with those issues, you could deal with each other. You can be having some great loving. You can go on dates, having fun, making money together. But when it comes to those things that intervene in a relationship, that's when it gets serious. Like, that's when it get like, all right, we got to figure this out. And most people don't want to go through it. People don't want to go through the hardship. They want to see the highlights. And that's what I meant, Amber, my point about social media. Social media shows you the highlights. It don't show you the financial thing. It don't show you, oh, I got paid Friday. And then my man Jay hit on a good point. Like, nowadays, if you a man, I go to work every day. I pay all my bills on time, right? I just set them up automated. So I think I'm the man, right? My bills come out automated now. Like, I ain't got to worry about paying it, right? But in certain Fridays, I ain't got it. Certain Fridays, I'll be like, I can't go out this week. Like, this bill hit. That's okay. But society tells you, because this person getting instantaneous, not society, I'm saying not so much society, but social media, because this person getting instantaneous because you ain't got it this week, you ain't balling, or you were broke. If you broke, just say that. That's this culture we're in right now. If you broke, just say that. And that's the hard part about the whole date thing, man. It's like, I couldn't imagine being single now, because I'll be to let some person have it. Like, what? Okay. Yeah, I'm single again.
And you know what, real quick, if you broke, just say that. I've seen a lot of female, I've seen a lot of videos on social media where that female saying that is on every algorithm. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I think what we may have a tendency to do, and I've been guilty of this as well, is we find this chick who's saying, if you broke, just say that, and we will amplify that. And be like, see, this is why I don't care about, chicks like this, though. No, instead, we need to take the ones that aren't saying that and amplify them. You know what I mean? The ones that are doing the stuff that aligns with our beliefs and where we want to go, we need to amplify that. We don't need to be fighting with them. We need to amplify that instead of amplifying, finding the most ratchet chick on the block and pointing her out. You see what she doing, dog? That's why I don't be messing with these broads, son. You know what I mean? Nah. We need to start amplifying.
Just have Anton aim his pebbles that way.
Has anybody seen that?
Oh, did he say that? Did he say that pebble analogy?
He did. It's my first time. So I do have a question
analogy
about that. How do you do the proper vetting with the pebble theory? How does that work?
I don't know if he's still here.
Where he is.
I'm not sure if Anton is.
I think it's
I
funny
was gonna say, I could tell you my way.
I've heard him say you should properly
all
vet
the
a
rocks out
woman,
there.
but you could also just.
I think
hit a
that's
girl
really
in the crowd.
funny because Anton and I had a conversation on one of his live streams like a while ago, and I thought about it during this conversation. So it's so funny that he said that. And he's just saying that it depends on the type of man that it is. A type of man, a strong leader, can, you know, get into a relationship with a woman and mold her and the woman to be the best version of herself, but also the best version of the woman for himself. So I think it's just about knowing, you know, that as a man, you're the one that's in control regardless of anything. You're the one that is in that space. You're the one that is a decision maker. You're the one who makes a woman a wife. You're the one who also makes a woman a mother. So I think in having that authority when dating, that's where the pebble analogy came up, because he's like, he can just pick a woman and make her his wife. It doesn't have to be, you know, only a person who's exactly like Rita. Once it's a person who has like the basic essentials, who's cooperative, that's it. You know, he can do the rest because he's done it from the ground up with Rita. So that, I mean, I think that's very true. That's all
No,
I'm
I think
saying.
I think that's definitely dope. I guess I got touched by him, with the whole child support thing, because I just don't agree with it. I know people that really have been, great fathers and great providers, and the situation didn't work out, and they end up getting, you know, touched down at the end. And I guess that hit a spot with me, because yeah, you can generalize it. You can say like, yeah, 90% of the man, if you know somebody directly, like I said, especially our people, it don't affect you until you hit you directly. So it's like you're not bothered by something until you know somebody that went through, or you went through it yourself. So a lot of times it's easy for us to say that, on the outside looking in. I'm married, married 13 years, never been. I ain't got no outside kids. I ain't got no situations where, I can speak on it. But at the same time, if you know somebody going directly how it affected them, and yeah, some men can be labeled soft because of it. You can't just say. I think that's crazy irresponsible to say like, oh man, if you don't like this, just date men. Come on, man. That's just culturally irresponsible to me. You cannot say that, because people go through shit and people go through stuff. And this alpha male thing, like you can always say, like, yeah, I'm the man, like I'm supposed to do this, supposed to do that. I get over it. It ain't as easy as it sounds. I get it. Some people do milk it. Some people be like, oh yeah, man, I'm going through this. Well, I can't stand in here complaining, dude. I tell my wife this all the time. Like if I'm going through something, I just deal with it. We're gonna deal with it together. We're gonna go through therapy. I'm gonna do my own personal therapy. I'm gonna do my own self check. Because again, among black men, we don't do therapy. We just call each other crazy, or we just keep doing the same stupid stuff. To us, therapy don't exist. It make you weak. But no, it doesn't make you weak. It makes you get over the situation that you go. So I guess that hit a soft spot with me, because I know I'm not a perfect man, and I work real hard. And my wife is the opposite. Like, I didn't have a man growing up, so she told me like, you should do this, you should do that.
Damn it.
So you was triggered, as they say.
Died.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Sometimes it's
G.
like that, G.
I know you
He
want
said
to
his phone
finish
died.
your
He said
thought,
his
bro.
phone died. RIP you to your phone. Hey, I look at it
Hold
like
on,
this, man.
definitely.
I look at it like this, man. I mean, we seen women cross over because they couldn't find a man. I mean, so it's not. I'm not surprised by this. If a man crossed over because couldn't find, it's 2022. I wouldn't be surprised it happens. I mean, to each his own. Good luck with that. But we guys, why are y'all in a rush to get in a relationship? There's no need to be in a rush. Take your time, find the right person, and go from there. But you ain't got to be in a rush.
I
There's
think
no
a lot of
need.
guys just want that consistent punani. Honestly, that's about it.
Yes, sir.
Sway, you
Yes,
might
Well,
be
then
the
sir.
buy
youngest.
your ass some Jergens, then, man.
Sway, you might
Man.
be you probably gonna be the youngest one on the panel. So do you think that we older people, older heads, however we're being referred to these days, are we doing a good job of relaying some of these values that we're talking about, like to younger people? Or are we making like a vague society, which is why we have so many issues, like from a younger person who's kind of just not coming out of it in the last, let's say, 5 years of being like a teenager and all that? Do you think that we're doing a good job, adults are doing a good job of sending the right messages in regards to perfection, relationships, EQ and things like that? Or is it just a big
I
mixed
think
bag?
if you're a part of the PC culture where you care about everybody's feelings, then no. But I think a lot of people who actually give you definitive answers on how to, progress in life, then we take in the information. But the only problem is sometimes, a lot of times the older cats have a tendency of the do what I say, not what I do situation. And that's where we, like I said, that's our biggest problem with y'all, is y'all tell us shit, but y'all don't actually do it. And we get mad at that. And we'll listen, I mean, sometimes we might pick up a little game here and there, but we won't like give you the respect that you think you deserve because you're not actually implementing the game that you're giving us. You know what I mean?
You
So
can't
that's
be out
about
here.
it.
You can't be out here telling somebody, "Suck it up, get over
You
it."
can't
But you
tell
got,
me not to smoke cigarettes as you're smoking a cigarette.
yeah, man. You can't
You
do
know what I
that.
mean?
It,
Like,
it just don't. It's not. Nobody's gonna
you
take
can't
you
tell me to
seriously.
wear suits if you don't own those suits. You can't tell me to go
Yeah,
necessarily get a degree and these outcomes will happen if you don't have a degree and you've shown those outcomes. You know what I mean? And
Well, the most biggest teacher is action. Your action speaks
yeah.
louder than any words, man. Words don't mean shit if you don't put no action behind it. So if they're acting on what they're doing, then that's who you need to follow. That's where you need to go. That's where you need to set your attention to. But if they're not following through with action, that don't mean nothing to me.
I think the best, I guess, teachers, or as far as giving advice, like I noticed with Sway, Sway is intelligent, he's strong in his opinions and his convictions, and I don't try to change
Yes,
that.
sir.
I just give him a different perspective. Like, if it's something that he feels one way about, I don't say, no, this is gonna happen. You better not do that. No, you know what I mean? You have to live life, yo. Your perspectives are gonna change based on what you're going through and your experiences. So I'm not about to fight him over his beliefs. His beliefs will evolve as he lives more life and gains more wisdom. You know what I mean? So we can have a debate, but I think with the older people, sometimes, like you said, do as I say, not as I do, or nah, that's wrong. You can't tell him it's wrong because those are his experiences. Up until the life that he's lived now, those have been his experiences. That has been his data. So he has nothing else to go on outside of you telling him what it's gonna be.
I think the best way to
I
get to
agree.
the younger cats is just give them all the information. Let them know if they do one thing, they might lead to a certain outcome. If they do another thing, it might lead to a certain outcome, and let them make their own choices. And they can't get mad at anybody because you've given them the information. And a lot of times, even when you do give us the information and we don't necessarily take it in that moment, when that situation comes about, we think back on the information we got. It's like, yo, I was told this and he was right. Sometimes they don't necessarily believe it, but when the situation comes about, it's like, yo, my dad told me about this situation, or Kyle
Mhm.
told me about this, or you know what I mean? We keep it in our brain, but we might not necessarily give it as much credibility in the moment. We might, have to experience it. And that's probably the ignorant side on the young cats, is they feel like they would have to experience it before, just taking in the information and moving accordingly. You know what I mean? Because they
Yeah,
might
it's the
feel like,
same.
oh,
It's
that's
the
not
same
going to
thing as
happen to
growing up
me.
in same thing as growing up in the church, man. A lot of people, I got a lot of friends that grew up heavily in the church, and instead of their parents leading them into faith, they throw it on them. Church every day. Church every day of the week. You got to go this. You say your prayers. You do this instead of letting them, accept God on their own, and that presents a big, huge thing when you later on in life because you that strict and you get out there in the open, it start to change and you start to experience life. So I think that goes along with how the older generation and how even I try to put this in my nephew. Like I try to tell him, like, hey man, don't do that. Don't do this. Like you want to think about smoking weed, don't do that. But he gonna do it. But you're right. As long as he has that slight inkling in the back of his man, the information I told him at least downloads in some capacity, then I'm okay with that. At least he thinks twice before he can do something real stupid.
And
And
His
every
kid ain't
I
got to do
think a
that.
lot of time with women, I mean not with women, I think a lot of time with young people, they look for authenticity. Like they want you to like actually be doing what you're telling them. So like my father, he called it training. Like he's like, and that's biblical too. So by the way, my father was also a pastor. So the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go. And when they're older, they will not depart from it. So like, even if they do step out and they try to do their own thing, they'll always come back to their original training. And like, I would always challenge him, obviously, because I was that person. But he would never say, don't do this because I said so. I was like, well, why can't I do it? And he would always give me a reason to back up what he's telling me. And it made me think, yes, sometimes I would try it on my own, but I would always realize, oh, what he said was right. Okay. So then I have something to fall back on. And I still his words, they come out. He's like the Morgan Freeman in my life. Like I hear his voice, like Mufasa or the James Earl Jones. I hear his voice even when I'm doing something now. It's like,
That's dope.
And Amber, what do you think? You said you had a 13-year-old son, as I believe what you said. Do you think you're doing a good job? Maybe the men and women around him, are we all doing a good job relaying the right messages to that age?
I was raised by my father. I'm an Air Force brat, but kind of old school. Do as I say, not as I do. Kind of old school family. We're not going to talk about issues, sweep it under if we don't talk about it. And because of that, I kind of went against the grain, and I became very vocal, and I kind of created a monster with my son, where I allow my son to talk openly to me about things, because I want he's going to be an adult longer than he's going to be my son. And the way I'm looking at it now is I am literally preparing him for the world. I am preparing him to be somebody's husband. I am preparing him to be somebody's employee or somebody's boss, somebody's friend, somebody. And so what I realized early on is that he's actually at the age now where he told me he's ready to live with his dad. And I knew this conversation was coming, and they both have my full support, because as a woman, I don't know the first thing about being a man. I remember when I caught him watching some inappropriate things on the phone. Luckily, I got to call my father. I called my other mentor. I talked to his dad, where now his coven is going to be mostly men. And so I'm now kind of like just following the lead of the men in my life when it comes to my son, because what you all deal with, have to go through mentality, I just don't understand. I'm not going to try to understand. I'm not going to try to minimize. So I'm in the space now with my son. I'm kind of I'm mom, I'm nurturing, but I'm taking a back seat a little bit.
Are there, and I imagine I probably already know the answer to this, but I'll ask anyway. Do you use celebrities at all, or do you think in his own mind he looks to celebrities as an example for anything? Like, does he see a Russell Wilson and say, I want to be that guy? Or do you look at LeBron and say, I want to be that guy? Or do you think it's more the men in his real life that are giving him the image to be?
I believe it's the men in his life, but I also teach my son to be a free thinker, a critical thinker, which why he's always in trouble at school, because I tell him to listen to what your teacher's saying, take it at face value, go home, do the research, and if you have questions, always ask questions, which he's always in trouble for talking. But I am proud to say I can see my son, his personality. He is a free thinker. He does listen to, what's it, Juice WRLD and X-Tashion, whatever, but he also say, well, they did a lot of drugs, so maybe that's why they died. He's thinking. He can enjoy his music, but he also can see for what's really going on and not be mesmerized.
And honestly,
I want to praise you, Amber, for even humbling yourself to do a situation like that.
It hasn't been
most of these chicks, boy, their pride won't let them.
Man, you just hit it
hell
right
no,
there.
you ain't taking my son. Hell
You
no,
just
that's my
look,
baby.
that was in my mind right there
man.
to say. I was about to say that. I swear I was about to say that. I'm like, man, for you to take that back seat and not be as headstrong, that's amazing. That's an amazing thing, because most women are gonna first say, like, you ain't taking my son. That's my son. I had him. They got to go all in deep into
that's a
it.
big
But
problem.
for you
They're
to
saying
realize
my son, not our son.
same, and that's how that's one of the biggest problems. But for you to say, like,
women do it.
It comes to a point where I want him to be around more men. I've done what I can do as far as being a man. That's amazing. So, man, shout out to you.
I'm on the south side, where I'm actually going to be sitting to an all-boy Catholic school, Leo High School.
That's right behind me. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the principal is a good friend of mine, and it took some convincing, and it had nothing to do with the fact that it was an all-boys school. But I told him majority of the staff and the teacher are Black men. Yes. Our system are mostly, the way it is mostly by white female teachers, and they're quick to put our boys to say they have ADHD, put them in IEPs, or say they have problems, but essentially they don't know how to relate to our boys. So after time, he's like, Mom, I'm ready to go to Leo, because he's covered. He's covered by a Black man who knows what he's possibly going through his adolescence and teenage years.
Well, they do them IHAPs are for money. That they just get twice as much money. That's all that is. It's a money grab. So
shout out to Shaka. Shout out to Shaka Rawls. That man is doing his thing at Leo High School for sure. Shout out to Shaka. Shayna and Reva, I definitely want to get y'all's take. Are the older generation doing a good job of resetting expectations on image, in terms of what a perfect spouse is, a perfect friend, things like that? I feel like maybe pop culture is very slowly starting to, come away from the Prince Charming angle and the, dominant male athlete and whatnot, and the super Victoria's Secret model. Are we doing that a good job day to day, just kind of relaying more positive messages to younger people? I'll throw it to you, Reva.
I was hoping you was gonna say Shayna. Who would be considered the old heads?
I would imagine older millennials, new parents now. So, I would imagine, let's say people 1990 and older. People, the parents, the new parents.
I know this is the Lapeef family, the Lapeef Network. I know this is the safe space. And I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna say I'm not too sure, because I feel like this generation is a lot more lazy. Okay, a lot more lazy. Christopher, no, it was actually you, Kyle, that touched on it before when you were talking about the Proud Family and how like the TV has changed so much. Like you can't even trust your kids watching Nickelodeon or watching Disney Channel. Before it was Raven's home, and Raven was married to a man, and then now all of a sudden it's like two single mothers raising kids in one household. Like we can imagine where this storyline is going to transform to. And I think a lot of maybe the people of that generation, 90s and stuff like that, are maybe ill prepared, okay, for life, because you have so much of people on Instagram talking about like, oh, adulting is hard. Like, we never heard our parents say that. We never heard like the generations before say like, oh my gosh, all these kids, I need to be by myself, or, let's lead them to the tablet. Let's lead them to the TV. Let's lead them to over here because I want to be on Instagram. I want to be on social media. This is too much. Why are they calling my name? It's like, the generations before realized that when they got into situations, marriages, had children, that these people that they were raising became their priority. And I feel like now we live in such a generation of laziness and selfishness, where it's about me. What about me? Even though I had these kids, like, you need to watch these kids because you're the grandma, but I need to go live my life and have a hot girl summer. You know what I'm saying? And also like, oh, you're always calling my name. Like I said before, I need time to myself. This is too much. Make yourself something to eat. The kids can't make themselves something to eat. Like, it's very, very different. And again, I think some of it is from being ill prepared. Some of it is from not seeing it before them, because their parents maybe they were latchkey kids, right? Maybe they grew up where the parents had to work. They had to let themselves in, let them out, do this, do that. So they kind of just grew up to the age of being being an adult, but they never actually saw the example of what it was effectively. And I love, I think it was Amber who said what she said about like living single. Like, it went from the Cosby Show and Good Times. I love Good Times. It went from Good Times, Cosby Show to, like living single and a different world where a lot of people were venturing out and living different lifestyles. And it definitely changed life as we know it, for sure, when you come on TV, because it's not much representation. Or if there is representation, the father is just kind of like, happy wife, happy life, do what the wife says, and she can kind of talk to him however. And that's still not preparing our children in the right way that we would want them to continue the legacies. So I think when it comes to friendships and stuff like that, I don't know. I think the relationships with children to parents has changed so drastically. Parents should not be your child's friend. Okay, that's just how I see it. I'm not your friend. Okay, I'm not your homegirl. Don't forget who you're talking to. Again, I'm raised with a Caribbean background, so I grew up very strict. No matter how my mom was a single mom, no matter how young, it didn't matter. Okay, I'm the parent, you're the child. A lot of these lines are kind of blurred. Yes, you do need to understand what your child is thinking. Yes, you do need to understand what's going on in school. You need to have these kind of conversations. And Christopher said it the best. Sorry, I'm just kind of like unloading to all the things I didn't get to say. But Christopher said it the best. He was like, his child might watch it anyway, but at least you have the conversations to let them know what's going on. I love those conversations where you can be like, hey, like, everywhere we turn on the TV, it's all this programming going on. You know what I'm saying? Look, we on Nickelodeon. Look how they have to add one person who likes somebody like themselves, and then one Black person. Like they have to have the balance on everywhere in TV. Having those conversations lets your children be aware, like, dang, that's true. Why they always have to add one person that like themselves and then another person that's a Black person, so they can have everybody covered. You know what I'm saying? In everything, you know, Family Feud, like literal, just every single conversation, they have to have one person from that community represented. Why? Why is that so important? Why is it so important that that's on Nickelodeon? Why is it so important that it's on Disney Channel, on Cartoon Network? Why is that on Roblox? You know, having those for real conversations with your children, the same way that you would about Black history, right? You're not going to wait for the schools to tell them about how Christopher Columbus was this great navigator, right? You're going to have the conversation like, let me tell you about Marcus Garvey. Let me tell you about Haile Selassie. Let me tell you about these people, Black kings. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that the conversations are much more necessary. And I'm not quite sure if this generation is in the state to be less focused on self enough to relay the proper messaging to the generation that is to come.
And
Shayna,
Kyle, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to let Shayna respond too. Oop, you muted.
Sorry, I can wait if you have something to say. I have my points.
No, I mean, it was just to tap on what Kyle said, like what can y'all do to help the younger cats? I think honestly, in a way, you have to make them acknowledge that they have an ego and they don't have all the answers. Like when they're trying to fight you on stuff, or like, you know, they're doing something different, ask them, like, do you think you have all the answers? Like, and if they are being disingenuous and trying to come at you, or they don't acknowledge it, like then you can understand where their mind is. Because a lot of times, like me, I acknowledge I don't have all the answers. I think that what makes me different. But when you're talking to these younger cats and not trying to be mean to, like, you know, disrespectful to them, like just ask them. It's like, do you really think you have all the answers, or you just, you know, going with the flow? And they're like, yeah, I got all the answers. Or they're like, or they say no, they don't have all the answers. A lot of times that helps them, you know, take a step back and just listen, because then they realize, like, I really don't have all the answers. I'm not getting the outcomes I want. I want to get the outcomes I want. Let me actually listen. So
you don't got
make them acknowledge that they have an ego.
You don't got the answers.
I ain't ever got the answers,
Sway.
But go ahead.
Watch it in the chat, man.
I also know that you wanted to up, and then we just lost Definite G. Worst connection. And then go ahead, Shayna.
So I was gonna I agree with a lot of what Rita was saying. I do think this is the me generation, and social media has a lot to do with that. It's like, look what I'm doing, look where I'm going, look what I'm eating, look, I'm on the toilet. It's like, why why does that matter so much to let everyone know what's going on with your life? And I have actually I'm a victim of that myself, because yes, I will definitely post my food all the time. But to the point, yes, it's like YOLO, like live your best life now, where in the past, when you get married and you have children, you kind of put that to the side and it's like, okay, now the family unit is what's most important. Or if you become a mother, you're like, you know what, I'm a mom now, I'm not going to go out clubbing anymore with my friends, I'm going to stay home and make my child my priority. That's what it used to be. It's not necessarily that now. And I do see a lot of times people are posting and like, oh, look, I have an infant. And then they're in the club, like, so who's watching your child? Who's putting them to sleep at night? Who is instilling the values in them? Because if you're not there to do it, somebody's doing it. And yes, you do have the tablet children who they know more about their phone than you do because they were raised on it. So my nephew is 4 years old, and like his mom's always on his phone and he's on his tablet. So you're letting a device raise your child versus you telling them what they need to know and teaching them and training them, and they're learning how to cook on an app or on YouTube or TikTok versus you bringing them home. Hey, this is the spice you use. This is what my mother taught me, so I want to pass this down to you. It's like it's not being passed down through the generations anymore, to where there's so much distraction. You care about your life more so than making sure your children are going to be upstanding citizens in society now. It's like they don't care. So I've talked too much. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, that's what we're doing here at the Lapeef Network. You know, I mean, it's really been a great conversation. I know that we kind of started off just dealing with, you know, using Russell Wilson as our catalyst, but, you know, I think that it was a conversation about all of us just giving off, you know, trying to achieve things that are impossible and trying to, you know, fit into an image that, you know, maybe none of us are really fitting into. And then also not having that expectation for other people. And so, you know, when we talk about, is Russell Wilson perfect? Is Ciara perfect? You know, and some of these other people, I think that probably is the wrong question. You know, I think it's, are they perfect for each other? Go ahead, Reba.
I just want to say something really slight. I've been waiting. I hear so many people talk about, you know, Ciara, Russell, and Future. But can we just really quickly just bring light to the fact that Future was what Ciara saw as perfect. The only thing is that he just was not faithful. And then she got with Russell. That wasn't the first option. That was not the first option. That was not what she saw and deemed as like the perfect guy for her. You know,
what does that tell us? Like, or what do you take? What's your takeaway from something like that? Like, is it Ciara was wrong and she made a mistake, or was it she settled, or you know, where do you land on that?
Listen, I love Ciara, okay? I love Ciara the artist. I love what she brought to the culture when she was, you know, hot and stuff, you know, 1-2 step, okay? So I'm gonna make this very bland, but I'm just saying that I think that we can't forget that was who she deemed to be, you know, that's who she wanted to make her husband. That's the person that she wanted to wife her. You know, she was with him for a while. She was very committed to that relationship. But I don't think that we even need to compare the two. Like, so many people are like, oh, yeah, she upgraded. In what aspect? Like, in what aspect? Just because she has a man that is more faithful to her and that's willing to take care of another man's child, when his father is still, it's not like his father is not there. His father is there. You know, we see him, he has another child, a younger, he's a lot of kids, but he have another baby that he's not maybe there 100% all the time because he cannot be because of his job. However, he does, you know, financially, I think. I don't really know, but I know that he takes care of his children from what I've heard from one of the baby moms, okay, because she's famous too. But I just don't think that there was a need to, you know, everybody's like, oh yeah, you know, get rid of Russell. I mean, get rid of Future and get you a Russell. And it's like, but at the end of the day, if she was a different type of person, or if she had a different mindset, she would have stayed with him. If she was willing to be a part of the situation, she would have stayed with him. It was more of an ego thing that she was like, oh no, because now you're embarrassing me. And I'm
so do you think that she still thinks about Future when she lays down with Russell Wilson?
I don't know. I'm not in her mind.
She probably do. She probably do.
Amber made the point.
She probably do.
Made the point the best. Like, I think, like, and don't get it twisted. Like, Future and Ciara was one of the hotter couples when they was together. Like,
right.
they had the video. You know, she had the hit single, probably one of her best singles that came out. Future was in the video, so that was a big part of it. But I think you're right. It goes back to what Amber said. Like, take the characteristics of Russell and put him in Future, and Ciara wouldn't go nowhere. Even if he probably cheated a couple times, right? I think Future was just out here crazy. I think he was just out here going crazy. But
crazy.
I think if he held back just a little bit, like, Ciara was head over heels for this dude. So when people say, like, drop your Future, I get the mindset. Future has like 12 different kids. You know, I get that. I get that part. But as far as like her being him, you're right. That was the perfect version of a man that she wanted. You know what I mean? Because she was dating around Ciara. Ciara wasn't this like, again, Ciara, you know, I love me some Ciara. I love me some Ciara and Russell Wilson, but she wasn't this super guy-fearing woman that she put this thing on now. Like, back in the day, she was outside. Like, she was outside hanging out. She was kicking it. And I think that's the biggest misconception. But she was able to, you know, blend her image with, you know, she with this man that, you know, again, he quote unquote the cornball, and he's supposed to turn him into this big, well-dressed dude. So I get that aspect, but take the characteristics of Russell and put him in the Future, man. Ciara ain't going nowhere. They probably would have had 3-4 kids together while he was out here doing a couple things with, you know, different people. So I definitely agree with that. I have no rebuttal to that at all. Like, that is all facts.
Well, ladies, y'all just got to find you a good man. I mean, stop settling for these Futures. Get you a good man so you can at least be happy and feel safe, knowing he's gonna come home at night. Well, why you want something like that, man? If the dude just out there just putting the shit out there, gonna bring you an STD, some shit that penicillin can't cure. Why would you want that shit in your life, man?
And don't get you a Russell, because you just gonna cheat on him.
My God! Hey, look, you better go get your Russell. At least you know where he gonna be at.
Yeah, he gonna be at where you gonna be at though. That's the thing about it. You gonna be out.
Well, you just need you skate. You gotta stop being
stand up.
Gotta stop being a tackhead. Stop being a tackhead, doing tackhead things, chicken head things, and act right. And then that good man gonna come in your life. But you continue to do that shit, you don't deserve a good man.
Well, with that,
you
I feel
deserve
like
what you
That's a
get.
whole conversation right there.
Yeah, and with that, we do got Sage Talk coming up at 2 p.m. I feel like, you know, that's a nice little segue. We do have that coming up. And again, this has been Lapeef Sports. I appreciate y'all. This has been a great panel. Any doing this every Sunday, 10 a.m. Hink, what you got?
Man, we got to shout out the Murray State Racers, baby. We won the OVC. Huh?
Shout out. Hey, next week we're gonna talk basketball. So all of my people tuning in, I'm gonna make JR get to some basketball. Okay.
Shout out to all the ladies that joined the panel. I appreciate y'all for giving the different energy.
Thank you, ladies, for coming up. We enjoyed it.
Shout out to the chat too. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
We needed some feminine energy on the board.
All right. Yeah. Hold on. Again, as Cal said, Sage Talk is starting shortly in about 20 minutes. Sage Talk with Lee is talking about where's the black mafia. Where's the black mafia? He also wants you to know he's not trying to change you. So this is going to be his slogan. So he's not trying to change you. Come over, have some fun, have this conversation. I know Hink, Sway, Cal, and Jay said they're going to be over there. Shout out to y'all.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna tap in. OG's always giving up.
Okay. Everybody else is kind of quiet. I'm like,
I'm gonna be in there. I'm also gonna volunteer for the Lapeef Dating Network as host. Whenever we want to get that cracking, I'm good for that.
That's right. All the ladies come up, find you a good man.
Oh man. Who's that? Hank? Yeah, man. Hank, man, we got to do your voice, man, for a little intro or something.
Yeah.
I got you, baby. I got you.
Find a good man 700 miles away.
Oh yeah. Also, you guys, we live in Houston, man. We posted the link throughout the thing, so make sure you guys.
Okay.
Man, I know Shayna, River, and Amber's supposed to be there. Shout out to everybody just fully supporting today. That's what I'm talking about. The whole house. And Chris just said him and his wife coming down. All right.
I know that's right.
Yeah. That's what I'm
talking about. Right.
Yeah.
I know that's right.
Houston, it's gonna be some nice weather, man.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Everybody quiet.
Man, if my son didn't have a tournament, man, I'll be down there with y'all, man.
Huh? What'd you say?
The next one, you guys are coming to Miami, right?
Yes, you know what? That's a good thing, man. I think we should do that dating show in Miami. I think we should do the dating show in Miami.
Schedule one for Richmond, Virginia, man.
Yeah. Like I'm gonna have some up in I think I'm gonna do like a little private conversation and see if we can
DC.
See if we can get something going on, man. We can bring people together in Miami. I think that'd be a dope thing.
Dig. Miami always a good move.
Yeah.
Isn't Virginia for lovers?
I don't know. I ain't never been to Virginia.
Factual, gang. We loving over here.
All right, y'all.
That's right.
Appreciate y'all tuning in.
All right, y'all. Shout out to Anton. Shout out to D for joining us too. We appreciate y'all.
And I guess shout out to Kayla for her drive-by she did on us.
Yep.
Shout out to all the mods in the chat. Appreciate y'all for regulating the chat.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little crazy in there today.
Yep. See us over there at Sage Talk, y'all. Stop all that yawning, Shayna.
Can you see me?
Absolutely. I see everything.
She yawned with the wide mouth too.
I know.
He's silly.
Make sure y'all tap in the Sage Talk, family. Tap in the Sage Talk. Happen shortly. Go over there right now. Get your spot in line. Let's go. You know what time it is. Sage Talk, y'all. 2 p.m. Let's go. See you, Sway. Shout out to the panel. Let's go. What a black mafia, y'all. Sage say not trying to change it. Let's go. Ah, shit. Come on, y'all. Let's go. Green Gang, I see you, baby. Head over there to Sage Talk right now, y'all. It's posted. Click that link. Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Meet us at Sage Talk, y'all. Come on. Get them likes up, family. Get them likes up. That like button, subscribe, y'all. Sage Talk will leave 2 p.m. 15 minutes. Meet us over there. I see you, sir. Appreciate you, brother. You know what time it is. Let's go, y'all. Likes up. Get them likes up. Sage Talk, 2 p.m. Yeah. 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 Come on. See y'all in Houston, April 23rd. Let's go. It's getting live, baby. It's getting lit. Let's go. You know what time it is. It's almost 2 p.m. Sage Talk. Let's go. Ah, shit. See you, go. You know what time it is. Let go. It's Sunday, y'all. Come on, rock out. Let's go, y'all. Let's just have a conversation. Let's just have that conversation.